Spreading democracy to all the corners of the galaxy, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Moonlight150, and we'd like to thank you for giving a slice of your time to tuning in to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Radio Public, and Audible. And be sure to follow us at A Slice of Gaming. So it's a busy week here in the gaming industry. From news from all corners of it on PlayStation and Xbox, and even Nintendo's got some news to talk about. Delays, and just absences. So joining me here, we got our standard crew, but we here at A Slice of Gaming are standing in solidarity with all the Sony ponies of the world, and they're grieving of no new first-party games until March 31st. So to stand with them, we are not going to be doing any intros until March 31st of 2025. So be sure to welcome Bench.
Sony will have games. That was just like a bad quote.
We have Wolf.
This is bullshit. Why does the Xbox fan get to hold the podcast at our fucking vice script?
And we also have Fusion.
You'll be playing Astrobot later this year.
All right, so I think that is covering everything. So we will now be moving on to all the news with Wolf.
Yeah, we got a decent bit of news this week. A lot of stuff. Hopefully, we don't go to 3 hours again. You know, that'd be nice. All right, get your.
It's business talk this week. It's all business talk.
I can't think of the word. What do you get when you're like getting cozy? Like a blanket, but it's like another word for blanket. It's like a snuggle thing.
A snuggie?
A snuggie, yeah, okay. Snuggies, get your snuggies ready.
I haven't heard of snuggie in a long time. What
year is it? Yeah, snuggie was like you would wear it, like it was a blanket that you would put on.
Yeah, well, get your snuggies ready. It's gonna be a long one. Damn, now I want to order a snuggie. Hang on, do they still sell those?
I'm sure someone sells them.
News. We're gonna start with PlayStation. A lot of stuff coming out of the recent financial report. I'm going to start with the big stuff. Benji Sales kind of has the sales of everything. He got a good write-up over here on Twitter. PlayStation financial year 2023 Q3 results. 8.2 million PS5 shipped for the quarter. PS5 at 54.8 million lifetime. Spider-Man 2 has sold 10 million units. 123 million monthly active users, 16.2 million first-party games sold in the quarter, and digital software ratio 66%. And also from Benji Sales, Sony has announced PlayStation 5 consoles did not meet expectations over the holiday. They no longer can reach their goal of 25 million units for the fiscal year. They have revised down their forecast to 21 million, a decrease of 4 million units. So I'll ask right off the bat, how do these sales look, like just from the outside looking in? Are these like, it seems a bit low comparatively? Obviously, we know Sony is thinking it's low. Like, what do we think as kind of just the outsiders?
That's what they say. From an outside perspective, this is like amazing. This is like they're outpacing the PS4. It's just from Sony themselves, from PlayStation themselves, they put like an astronomical, like highly, this is what we want to pass number out there, and I feel like it just wasn't. They had everything had to go perfect for them to reach the number they wanted, and I feel like the number they have, like from the outside perspective, from like the Xbox and Nintendo, from everyone else's perspective, they're like, this is an amazing number.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at it from from the outside, 54.8 million consoles in 4 years. Now, I don't have the numbers. If one of you can help me out here, what is that in comparison to the PS4 4 years in?
It's like 3 years and a couple months, right?
Oh, 3 years. Yeah. I don't know. I can't do math. So yeah, 3 years and about. No. This is just 3 years because this is financial year 2020 or Q3, the quarter. So I think it goes until December 31st.
What year
for that
looking
quarterly? Look at PS4 sales. PS4 sales about like 3 years in.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, I'm trying to do your thing. Okay, while he reads that, tries to figure it out. We got one of the biggest headlines out of this whole the thing. I don't know what you call these type of quarterly report. Jeez, I am like losing it, guys. I don't know. These podcasts are ruining my.
Don't worry, you're an English major, not a business major.
That's the problem. I can't speak. Sony Interactive Entertainment will not release, quote, any new major existing franchise titles before March 31st, 2025. Major projects are currently under development. This comes from Sal Romano over at Gamatsu. Sony Interactive Entertainment does not plan to release any new major existing franchise titles next fiscal year, which begins on April 1st, 2023, and ends on March 31st, 2025. The company said during its fiscal year 2023 Q3 earnings briefing. I think that's a typo. I think it meant to say we begins on April 1st, 2024. Regarding first-party software, we aim to continue on focusing on producing high-quality works and developing live service games. Goddamn. Sony Group President, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki said he has all the titles, but while major projects are currently under development, we do not plan to release any new major existing franchise titles next fiscal year like God of War Ragnarok and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. It should be noted that while, quote, major existing franchise titles includes intellectual properties such as God of War and Spider-Man, it does not include new intellectual properties like Concord or non-major existing franchise titles like Until Dawn. Totoki continued, although the burden of acquisition-related costs will ease next fiscal year, we expect profit from first-party software to decrease slightly from this fiscal year due to the impact of the decrease in sales. Due to this, operating income for the next fiscal year is currently expected to increase slightly from this fiscal year. However, while this is our baseline, we are reviewing measures for further improvement in profitability in advance of the annual forecast results announcement this May. So, a lot to say here. I think a lot of people kind of took that headline and got scared. It's like no games from Sony Interactive. And that's not what it says. It's new, major existing franchise titles. But I do think this basically confirms Ghost of Tsushima 2 is not this year. I'm sorry,
Whoa,
Bench.
whoa, 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 whoa. It can be
That's a
pushed up.
major existing
Yeah.
franchise.
It can
I-
be pushed up.
I'm with you. I think it is major. I will say, hold on one. I did find a number. PS4 at this time was 53.4 million, and
53.
PS5's at
Okay, so slightly
54.8.
more.
So like 1.5 million more. So like they find, because for a while their PS5 was actually tracking below the PS4 because of COVID. Like for a while it was like, so they
Oh, yeah.
finally have passed the PS4 point, which should be great for them. But back to this topic, I don't think Ghost 2 is this year, but I will say I could see a world where they do not consider Ghost 2 like Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man. Like Ghost isn't going to
There's
Ghost isn't
no
selling like
way.
even Horizon in my opinion. I mean, not in my. I
They
think it's just
consider
the
it
stats
first
show it,
party.
but
Well, it's
it
not
probably
even major.
is on like the major scale.
I don't know. Like it's just like we could try to finagle it, but like Sucker Punch is a studio that likes to take their time. So I was always kind of like on the I don't think it's this year. I would have wanted it to be, but Infamous Second Son to Ghost of Tsushima was 6 years. And I know we say sequels take less time. I don't really think that's as true as we think it like
Yeah,
we
not
believe
anymore.
it to be in this day and age. In this climate, that's not true. And I don't know, like it makes me think like, okay, what is this year? Jeff Grubb, friend of the show, he is very adamant that we get a new Astrobot, or not adamant, but he's basically saying like I've heard rumblings that the next Astrobot is this year. Which, oh, by the way, I want to say that's fucked up that he does not consider that major. To me,
Yeah.
it's major.
It sold the
But
most PS5 copies.
that's
50,
50. That's a
54
50
million.
million. That's a 50 million seller game. But no, I don't know. Like I think Astro. I want to believe it's this year. It's hard to believe on anything right now, other than Concord and Fair Games coming in, which that's exciting.
Which
But
is like
I mean,
the thing with Ghost, real quick, is like it's more Mycopia I'm talking about. I would like Ghost this year because man, that game's not gonna have a single chance for Game of the Year next year. Like if it comes out in 2025, it's just gonna be
listen,
tough.
man. You keep saying it's like, man, I hope games don't come out in 2025 because you're so scared of
It's
GTA
really
6 just
selfish.
winning everything.
Yeah, it's me just being
I get
selfish.
it.
I'm like, I just want, like maybe not, but it just gives me like, no matter what comes out next year, GTA 6 is just handed it. But that's my one thing about this quote, which like I understand. People take stuff out of context all the time, and like he said the quote how he said the quote, but like Concord and Fair Games are first party games. So like seeing the headlines run where it's like PlayStation has 0 first party games between now and March of next year is just completely untrue. Like there was no truth to it because they have first party games coming out. What about Concord and the Fair Games and the quality? They're still first party titles. They are a first party PlayStation owned studio. So when those hit, it still counts. And I do think we're getting something. I've been saying Astro for like I feel like 8 months. Like I've been on the Astro train. And I do
Before
think
Jeff.
it is probably way before Jeff. He was probably looking at me. I was leaking it to Jeff. But like for months I've been on the Astro train. It would be awesome if it was Astro, but I could also see it being like a I don't know if you would count that God of War Atreus thing as this is the premier title in the God of War franchise. Like if it was a Miles Morales type thing, I don't know if they would be like, yeah, this is the like if that somehow dropped this fall, I wonder if that would count against this
Wait.
quote where they're like it's a
No, they say any new major existing franchise titles. Like
What
they just
about-
mean like titles from major franchises,
What
not
about
major games and
a new
franchises.
what about a new franchise from our boy Corey?
oh yeah.
Yeah, so I do. I wanted to bring this one up. I guess I'll do it now. Sony Interactive Entertainment trademarks This name is so dumb. Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet in the United States. Update Europe and Australia. Sal Romano spotted that one over at Gamatsu as well. I don't think it's this year. It is interesting that they're trademarking it around this time, but like imagining it this year just feels a little too like I don't know what the word is. Like it feels too soon,
I
especially
don't think
because
that's his
Ragnarok
game
was
either, by the way.
2022. You don't think it's his game?
No, I don't think that title is his game at all.
I mean, I hope not. This name
I hope
sucks.
not. Hey, that name is just not. It's just not a great name. I
It
don't
feels
know
like they
what it
just
is, but-
threw random names together.
How long is it? Do we know if they were like working on this alongside of Ragnarok?
No, it's most likely assumed that like Corey had like a small team basically doing pre-production during the development cycle of Ragnarok. Corey and his little team was doing like small things in terms of pre-production for this new IP, but like now they're probably in full production, which makes me assume that like yeah, it's probably not going to be. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, let's think about when they announced God of War. When was that? What year was it when they had the God of War Ragnarok like reveal and they sat Corey and who's the
2016.
who's the dev? Not when they had when they announced Corey wasn't the main dev on Ragnarok.
Oh,
It was probably like 20 or 21.
Because I
think
remember.
No, I think it was straight up 2021. Like that's when the game was revealed, and he said shortly after, "This is not my game."
Yeah, because when they sat down and they had that little interview with Sal or whoever was there, I forget who was there. He sat there and he did say like, I'm hands off on this because like I have my own project. We're not talking about it now, but like so it's even then like it's been 3 years since he even said that like that he is working on something. Granted, yeah, it could have been very early concept stage, and I don't think this game is this year. So like don't get that twisted. Like I don't think Corey's game comes out this year, but I think we could see Corey's game this year, like a trailer of some sort.
I mean, I could see like a trailer in terms of like a CGI, like, "Hey, here's the title and everything." It does still seem like it's going to be a little further away than we think, because I feel like new IPs in general usually take a bit longer to make.
Yeah.
Pretty much making everything.
And I wonder if this trademark right now gives me either maybe like Helldivers 2 DLC name or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Intergalactic,
actually,
like you know what I mean?
that
This gives me some
that
Helldivers
fits
vibes.
more. Yeah, that fits more for what Helldivers is. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, because it is very much like liberty and democracy
Yeah.
fighting against these alien troops. Yeah, no, I could actually see that. That makes sense. I hope it's not the new name for Corey's game, because I'm like, oh, you immediately unsold me.
It's a weird. It's such
No,
a
you
name.
know, all you Sony players are they're gonna reveal the name. It's gonna be the Heretic Prophet, and you're like, oh, that's such a hard name.
It's just like I don't know. Like if it wasn't, I don't know.
If it
I
has a
really
cool
don't like the
logo.
name, but it's one of those names where like if it is real and this game's like amazing. I think someone I forget who tweeted out, but someone did tweet out with like if this game like if this is the name of the game and it's like amazing, like this name will be like a cult classic for like years to come.
You'll.
Like it would just
I
have a
think
cult
it's one of the.
following.
It's one of those names where like you see like the trademark name and you're like, oh, that sounds stupid, and then over time you're like, oh, I'm kind of used to that. Like I'll be honest, when I first heard the name The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, I'm like, that's such a dumb name, and then like eventually I'm like, oh, actually no, it kind of fits, it works. So I don't know. This is like trademark names are kind of hard to like fully put your opinion on how they sound, but like right now it sounds just like that sounds weird.
And it could be just a movie, right? Because this is like just Sony trademarking it. It
Yeah,
wasn't PlayStation themselves. Like this could be anything.
You don't have to say that.
I
I don't
mean,
want to talk about.
would you rather
it's,
would you rather a movie with this name or a game? Be honest.
it's Sony Interactive Entertainment, which is the game division.
Oh, okay.
SIE.
Yeah, that's a little scary. But just give it the Helldivers 2 DLC. This is a sick name for Helldivers 2 DLC. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Next up, we still got a bit more to go over in terms of this. Unless you guys had any more thoughts on like what the other games could be, like because I think we think Astro, obviously, Concord and Fair Games. Is that their 2024? Is it going to be another kind of slow year for the PlayStation 5?
I think Spider-Man DLC does come, but that's
I mean, I think it'll be a slow year for Sony first party, but I wouldn't discredit what they have in the first 6 months with what they've had Helldivers and Rebirth, then Ronin, then
And Foam Stars.
and Stellar Blade.
We don't that one.
So, like,
I mean, Stellar Blade is basically a PlayStation game.
they
so.
have exclusives that are gonna prop up the PS5 for sure. Especially like Rebirth could carry them this entire year if it stays exclusive, and make. So I think it should be, even if I guess those aren't PlayStation games, which I think they kind of are. I think they'll be fine.
Nah, don't summon Bop. I don't want to listen to him.
and I do agree. I see where you come from, Binks, and like I'm fully on that. But I will say, I would take blame that I was one of those people where Xbox went 18 months without a big first party game. I gave them crap for it. If PlayStation truly does not have like say Concord and Fair Games blow, like they're just terrible, and we don't have an Astro game, and there's nothing else till mark something, I'll be salty. I'll be honest. Like it's not a good look for the company, even though we have Rise of the Ronin and everything else. So I will, and so I completely agree. I think Helldivers 2 is basically first party, and hopefully they become first party by the time within the next few months. I think that game's doing amazing. Hopefully, Sony usually is very good at seeing things like this and grabbing them pretty quickly. But like, I could see why people would also be like, "Hey, PlayStation hasn't had a first party game in however long, 16 months. That's insane."
Oh yeah, no. I mean, like, it really comes down to like it's a wait and see approach with how long it's going to take to see actual
we
first
really
party
need that
games
showcase.
And I do.
That's
think,
kind of
though,
that's what I wanted to say though, real quick. Or actually, Bench, you go ahead.
I do think it can be a little easier to give the hand wave to a Sony or Nintendo for not having a lot of major releases, because like for the past 5 years they have. When Xbox has like had the big drought, it's not like they had many games before that.
Oh, I agree. It's given the benefit of the doubt to like these to PlayStation, which like, yes, they earned it, but at the same time,
Bro refuses to acknowledge Nintendo in that, huh?
well, I don't know the
insane.
Nintendo lineup like you guys. So like, I just know Zelda and Mario. I don't
It's
know
also
was
super
insane,
dry.
yeah.
Their
So it's
lineup
like-
isn't much better.
But
2023 was an insane year for Nintendo.
Yeah,
I'll
it
just
was.
say that.
But it's just like you have it where, and I do agree, when Xbox was going through the drought, they were releasing games like Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2. And like when PlayStation is going through a so-called drought, they're releasing Spider-Man 2. These are different levels of video games. So like I can see when people are like, yeah, but give PlayStation the benefit of the doubt. 5 years ago, they had the greatest stretch in the industry when it was literally Last of Us and God of War and Ghost of Tsushima and like
2016 to 2020
yeah,
was like
it was amazing.
real.
But we'll probably never get that back. But it's the point of you still want like PlayStation still needs something. They need to figure out something on the business side where these games just can't keep taking 6 years for every single studio because you don't have enough studios.
They need to focus on those AA games.
Which actually correlates into our next topic.
Actually, wait, I just want to say one thing kind of related to this. I don't know what's funnier at the end of the year, and all the Sony ponies are either crying over the drought or they're holding up the one Astrobot game. It's like, this is Sony's year. It's Astrobot. I don't know what's funnier. It's like, I don't know which one I want. It's Astrobot.
This podcast right now.
Selling PS5 game.
If there's a 10+ hour Astrobot game that releases this year, it will be nominated for Game of the Year at TGA. Take my word for it.
Tax.
No, dude, no, I would want that, but I don't trust these critics. They don't respect Astrobot the same way you and me do, Fusion.
I don't know, man. Hey,
I doubt
Binks in there too. That dude loves that game.
I want that
for
new
12.
I think it's 10+ hours. I would assume so. They're gonna go for a full on.
If I could jump in real quick, stop me if this is gonna throw off your next topic. Back to when we talked about Showcase, it would be different if we weren't going through a drought and also not knowing anything. Like when Xbox went through the drought, at least we knew games were in development for Xbox. Like we knew things were coming from Xbox. They showed trailers for Fable and multiple things that were like down the pipeline. Right now, PlayStation doesn't have anything but Concord and Fair games, and that's genuinely all we know. We don't know like anything else.
That was something I actually wanted to bring up earlier. I don't think there's going to be a showcase this year, which sucks. I think that they're just going to try
Not
to
for the entire year.
off.
I could see like this quarter, but maybe like summer, fall.
I think we get one in the fall. So. Well, I don't know if they.
I want it. It's just I think Sony is kind of focusing more on like let's not do logo reveals. Let's market them when they're closer to release. Personally, I would like a few unicorn games. I would like just like a nice little logo, just something to look forward to. Other than right now, it's Concord, Fairgaze, Wolverine. like we got.
I think we get
has Wolverine. Okay, I was about to say, has Wolverine been officially announced? Like, yeah, it has. I remember there was that CG trailer.
I think we act. I don't know if it's. I think they might move away from the showcase brand, maybe. But I do think we get a state of play. We'll get something that outlines the next 2 years of Sony. 2025.
2 years? No.
Yeah, no.
You'll be lucky if you get 6 months.
No, I think we get something that outlines their next 1 to 2 years. Because, I mean, we know Venom is supposed to be next year. So, like, I think we hear
Whoa, you can't talk about the Insomniac leak.
Whoa, we never saw those. No, I do disagree here and say that I think we get a showcase later this year only because the way they word this where they're saying like after March 31st. Well, like if you're going to have the way they're wording this is like next year they're having a featured title, like a Ghost 2 or something. I think if September comes around and you show a showcase and you're like, hey, this is our 2025, that's a great time to show a showcase. Where you're like, okay, we're at the end of 2024. There might not be any, especially if they have nothing this fall except maybe an Astro, they can still pad themselves by putting together a 40-minute showcase that actually shows the future of PlayStation so people can still look forward to something. Where it's like, you might not be getting these games right now in this fall, but you're getting a showcase to be excited about what's coming.
I do think it's also kind of funny that March 31st, it's like, yeah, we're not putting out any first-party games until Grand Theft Auto 6 is out.
I mean, that's just a financial year thing, but also I do think they're almost like, yeah, it would be nice if we don't put it out the same month as GTA 6. Dude, if the next Horizon comes out next to GTA 6, they're cooked.
That's why they're not putting out anything until March. They're going to let the early spring go by and just be like, we're just going to avoid any potential GTA 6 lineup and just wait until after March 31st.
I mean, unrelated.
February.
Unrelated. I actually don't think that. I think GTA 6 gets delayed out of the early half. I think Rockstar always delays their games. I know it's completely unrelated.
Delayed also.
It's like a late 2025. Because like GTA in February, that doesn't sound right.
Every Valentine's Day dinner is canceled.
Oh, 1000%. Next up. So I did allude to this earlier. PlayStation's new chairman says that studios need to improve, quote, when it comes to business. This is from Andy Robertson over at VGC. Sony president, COO, and CFO Hiroki Totoki. Okay, that's like talking about how he's the CEO now. Sharing his initial impression from his first 4 months directly working with SIE, the exec said he made a point to attend management meetings and visit PlayStation's game development studios to get a better understanding of the business. The Sony president said that while he was impressed with the motivation and creativity of studio workers, he believed there was, quote, room for improvement when it came to how they invest money and plan development schedules in order for the overall business to achieve its growth goals. Sony announced strong PS5 sales. This is stuff that we already know. Quote, it's been about 4 months since I became chairman, and I'm trying to demonstrate leadership and have as many meetings as possible with the management team, Totoki told media and investors listening to the web call. I've also visited studios, and everyone is working really hard to fulfill their responsibilities to try to optimize the business, and I understand that. But overall growth and sustainable profit for increasing margins, how will that translate to these goals? I don't think people understand that deeply. I think that is the problem with the organization. So as far as I'm concerned, I try to understand what is happening with the company and the industry, and also from the perspective of analysts. Try to explain that in a transparent manner so that people can recognize and notice these issues so that we can have a harmonized approach going forward. So it's very clear from this like quote and what Totoki is saying, he is very much saying we kind of need to slow down on these budgets and the amount of money that we're spending on these games. and overall, like, maybe be a bit more hands-on with the studios and tell them, hey, you're going over budget, let's slow down.
Yeah, if I had to guess, some of these major like pillar first party developers probably had some sort of nearly blank check to kind of like do what they needed and kind of weren't smart with their money, so maybe kind of like spent more money than needed to even. They kind of just didn't have to worry about that when they probably should have, and it's led to this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Fusion, do you have a thought on this?
Yeah, it's I'm we've known for a while like the way PlayStation makes games at some point has to be unsustainable. You know what I mean? Like you can't keep putting out like the gamers they're buying the games, but like you just can't have every studio you have right now is not equipped for a 6-year budget video game that's like $300 million. Like it's just like talent aside, it's just you just can't. So like I feel like from a business side, you have to look at something where you're just like I hate to say, well, I don't hate to say it, but you need your Japan studio back. Like you
I
need
want it so
something
badly.
where like, and you need multiple of them. You don't need just one of them. You need Grant. Shout out Xbox for helping us out this year, throwing all those games our way. But you need like Xbox has so many studios, which is awesome, but they have a diversity of size studios where like Xbox is having little teams work on the games like Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, and then they're still getting Fables and stuff like that. Where like I feel like PlayStation, every single PlayStation dev is like, how do we make the next 20-hour genre-defining
The next
title?
Last of Us.
Yes, every single dev over
The
there
next
feels
Last
like
of Us, the next God of War.
no matter what they're doing, if it's in multiplayer, like Concord and Fair Games are going to market, hey, we're breaking this, like we're defining this genre, like we're doing something we've never done before on their PlayStation. Which is awesome because like when it works out, PlayStation delivers the greatest games of all time. But when they don't, and you wait 6 years, and like you have those flops, or you just have those moments where you're in the the dark area right here where we have nothing, it gets like we can't continue this for another decade. We can't continue this throughout the next generation and into PlayStation 6. Like either Sony has to knuckle up and start acquiring a publisher that has the ability to give you a lot of employees and give you more projects, or you're gonna have to start picking at the little guys, these little indie teams, and like bringing them over.
I mean, a perfect example of this is Days Gone and Sony Bend. That is a studio that was making PSP and PS Vita games, very small games overall, and they did Uncharted Golden Abyss. And, everyone was basically saying, like, oh, it's good, but not as good as Naughty Dog's Uncharted games. And it led to basically Sony Bend, like, okay, well, we're going to make the next big game with Days Gone. And they did this big open world, touted its major story. But this was a team that was not adjusted to making a big game like that. And it kind of got railed in the reviews. And I think Sony was almost like a disappointed father figure to them, where they were like kind of throwing them under the bus in a lot of senses, even though the game sold really well and fan feedback was pretty high. It's just, it wasn't as good as Last of Us. It wasn't as good as God of War. So they kind of gave them shit for that. It's like, I don't understand that weird company behavior where look at Helldivers 2. That is just a good fucking game. It's not genre defining. It's not this crazy thing. It's a smaller budget game that was really fucking good, and it is far out. Like we're gonna talk about it later. It is far exceeding what the CEO and what the company, what Sony, what even us as consumers thought it was gonna do. So I just think maybe instead of going crazier in budget, go higher and higher. Just make a good game. That's what people want.
Yeah, it's like I do think looking back, I think Sony handled the bin stuff terribly. Like I understand
Oh yeah.
Sony was probably hoping for a 90 plus. I'm talking like Days Gone was made right. Like they started development when like The Walking Dead was the biggest thing on earth. Motorcycles were in, like Sons of Anarchy. Like they expected way bigger, but like bin still made. I hear people all the time say that's like the hidden gem of the PS4 era. Like people love that game. It just didn't hit a 90 plus, and Sony were like on the Sony side, if you're not scoring super high, it seems like an issue when you're putting that much money into the game. But it's also the case where, but now you still have Ben. They released that game 5 years ago, and we do not have any idea what Ben is working on now. Because instead of probably going back to the drawing, like going to the drawing board and saying we can probably get smaller here, let's go back a little bit. People didn't like this gigantic 60-hour game. They probably doubled down and were like, let's make it another 60-hour game. Like that's probably what they were thinking. Granted, we don't
So,
know.
quick
It could
correction.
they could come out with something small.
Quick correction. So they were working on a Last of Us 1 remake. They were the ones who handled
Oh
that
yeah, I
project
forgot they were doing
initially.
that and they got kicked off.
And apparently now they're doing Uncharted. Like there's a rumor about Uncharted 1 remake. I don't really believe it, but that's apparently maybe that's gonna be banned. But I think they're just trying to somehow gain favor back at Sony, and it's just like this is one of your studios. Why do you have to gain favor?
But I
That's
thought
so
they
weird.
announced a new IP.
They didn't announce anything. And that was Blue Point you're thinking of. Who did the new
Yeah,
IP.
but I swear they both did. Hold on. Let me do
I
some
mean, you can
research.
check real quick. I mean, while you search that up real quick, I mean, like, I personally, I want more stuff like Astrobot, and we're getting Astrobot this year, hopefully, where I want Sony to be able to go, hey, here's a AA game. There was a time period, this could never happen again, but in 2012, Sony was like, hey, we're gonna release a new first party game every month. And like that could never happen again. But what happened was that they released a lot of titles. They were all smaller titles, AA titles. And it's like we can bring back that era of games. It's just we don't have to keep going for these giant AAA budget games. Now I say that, but also the reason that these AAA games happen is because we need the sales. And the consumer kind of shows that they like the big shiny AAA game. But also they
Because
like the
the average
Helldivers.
consumer only buys like one game a year.
Yep. I don't know. It's just in a tough situation. I want the return of like smaller AA titles, especially from PlayStation. I think that would be awesome, but it's just hard. It's an uncertain future.
Hey, do you know what company is regularly going to be releasing AA size games and the occasional AAA? Xbox on Game
no,
Pass.
good games, good games.
But let me side note real quick. Yes, in 2022, Ben did announce that they were working on a new IP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's their next game. Hopefully, it's not. They're like, oh, it's gonna be genre defining.
Unknown them.
Well, they've been working on it for 2 years now, and probably going to be 3 or 4 more. It's going to be genre defining.
I mean,
But
it's probably
that's my thing. It's like it's not like I can't recall like Days Gone didn't get any DLC or like extensive post-release.
No, it didn't get any.
I think it got a PS5 patch of some kind.
Yeah,
but
I
that
did
was
get
about it.
60
got a patch.
FPS. I'm pretty sure. But granted, now that I do remember them working with like a Last of Us 1 remake and them getting kicked off or whatever, so that probably took up some time. But it's like it's still insane that 5 years since your game came out and we haven't like other than you saying once or twice we're working on a new IP, nothing. No concept, no like nothing. It's just like, and that's the frustrating part about PlayStation right now. Is it feels like every single game is taking so long and has to be so big that they won't even drop a image for it or a teaser or anything because they're like, we can't do this now because this game might not come out for another 6 years. Ben could be working on the game and they'll be like, we don't know if this is a PS6 title. Like we just don't know at this rate.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like uncertainty right now with a lot of PlayStation studios, which I'm hoping can eventually we will start to see these games come out and they're actually really fucking good. And we're like, you know what are we scared about?
So make games small again. That's the motto.
I'm with you there. Next thing, this is a pretty interesting headline. Genki had this over on Twitter. Sony president Hiroki Totoki says he wants to go aggressive in improving margins by growing first party with multi-platform. Quote, in the past, we wanted to popularize console and first party titles. Main purpose was to make the console popular. It is true, but there's synergy to it. So if you have strong first party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first party can be grown with multi-platform, and that can also help operating profit to improve. So that's another one we would have to that is another one we have to proactively work on. I personally think there are I personally think there are opportunities out there for improvement of margins. So I would like to go aggressive in improving our margin performance. Hiroki Totoki. Now, obviously, I think this kind of comes in wake with Helldivers 2, really massive success, being a day and date, PlayStation 5 and PC title. And you wouldn't see that success if it wasn't day and date. I think this is making Sony not fully go into it, but like inching closer to a day and date for their first party games.
Yep, I agree.
I think live service is a lock, and we've seen it. I'm
100%.
pretty sure Fair Games was announced for PC immediately. Like
Concord and Fair Games are both.
Yeah,
PC
like
games.
which 100% makes it. I still think it might be a little while before we see like the next Horizon day and date. Well, Horizon's years off somewhere. Like I feel like Ghost 2 might not be day and date. Like I still feel like
I
it's
agree
like
with you
a few years off where it's like the premier first party like single player games, they're probably still working through. But yeah, anywhere it's like any live service game from PlayStation right now will be day, and it is the smartest decision. Like you said, like that game is blowing up on Steam, and like you need your live service. It's so hard to make a multiplayer only game on one platform when your game's only on Xbox or only on PlayStation, and you're leaving out PC. Like you're just losing so much money and value where you could just have every PlayStation live service game right now should be on PC and should be fully crossplay. Like if you don't have those two things, PlayStation should be locking you down and be like, hey, as a studio, you got to figure this out. Like we need crossplay for the PlayStation players, and we want to deliver day and date on the PC.
But will Astrobot also be on PC day and date?
No.
Stay tuned. I agree with you. Like I think the actual premier first title single player games, that's gonna be a while. And also, I mean, before we get Ghost 2 on PC, maybe we should get Ghost 1 on PC.
Yeah, that game's not even over there. So
Is that not on PC?
no, it's still not
No,
on PC.
that's what everyone says, by the way. Every time you say Ghost 1 is not on PC, the first thing is, wait, that's not on PC.
I swear I
And
thought it was. Man, what am I
No.
thinking of?
And I always have to say the rumor is that they've been doing it in house instead of giving it to Nexus or something.
yeah.
So like it's been taking them long because they've never made a game for the PC. So like it's taking them longer, which is also could be affecting. I doubt it's affecting it much, but this could be making a Ghost 2 situation where it's like, well, we're trying to put this one game on PC, so some of the teams doing that, and then the rest of the teams doing Ghost 2, and it's making like they can't put all hands on deck on Ghost 2. So like it makes sense if the rumors are true, it's in-house and it's taking this long, which has been forever, by the way.
Maybe I'm thinking of Days Gone because Days Gone is on
Yeah,
PC.
Days Gone's
right?
on PC. Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Days Gone.
Yeah, to me, it's just like this is a really big studio shift for Sony because Sony's first party studios have worked on PlayStation hardware literally the entirety that they own.
Yep,
Most of these
forever.
studios, like this is how they're used to this hardware. They know their architecture. So now you're like, oh, okay, now you're working on all these different PCs with different specs, different configurations. Figure it out. That is really rough for a lot of these studios. That's what happened Last of Us Part 1 going to PC. Naughty Dog was not used to making games on PC, and they did that in-house. That's why studios like Nixxes is so important to Sony. And that's why I'm very confused why would they be doing Ghost of Tsushima in-house? Like, is it a pride thing? Like, just give it to Nixxes at that point.
I think it's more of probably the same reason. I said this like probably a few weeks ago, where Naughty Dog did it in-house, where I think if the future truly is day and date on PC, you need your studios to learn at some point. So like
100%.
you have to go through these growing pains. So I feel like right now you are going through the growing pains with older titles. So like when Last of Us Part 1 went on PC, yeah, it sucked, but imagine if it was Last of Us Part 3 launching in that state. Ghost might suck when it launches the PC, but imagine if it was Ghost 2 launching in that state. So it's like it's better that they're using like the resources on these older games where like, yeah, we want those games to be great on PC so more players play them. But like if they're going to mess up at launch, it's great that these are 5-year-old games and not a brand new title releasing.
So doesn't that also kind of like give a bad look to like the average consumer who doesn't follow this kind of news? To where, yeah, here's your 5-year-old Ghost of Tsushima 1 on PC finally, and it runs like dog shit.
But that's the difference.
Look,
I don't think but I don't think Ghost will run bad because it's been so long. Like I genuinely think, or that game might not come to play PC. Like I assume it will.
That'd be insane. That is
It would
like
be
the
insane
most
if it
like
didn't.
that feels like PC bait because like imagine that game with like like a really high like 120 FPS or the fucking graphics all the way cranked up. Like that would be fucking beautiful. And also,
Like I feel like it has to, but like there's also it's been 4 years and there's almost been no signs. Like has it ever been leaked? Like people are just assuming it's coming. No one has ever been like, we found these files for Ghost coming.
I think I remember something about it being leaked. I can look at that real quick.
Cause yeah, it's just like, but I get what you're saying, Moon. Where like if you've never heard of, you've probably heard of the series. Well, if you've never heard of the Last of Us series, and you're like, oh, the Last of Us Part 1, and it shows on the Steam page, and it's like over 300 awards, and like you're loading it up, and you're like, wow, this is kind of trash. Like this is not great. That probably doesn't help that PC player be like, I want to play more PlayStation games. They're probably like, are these what PlayStation games are like? Like,
It's like glad I switched to PC so long ago.
yeah, like this is it definitely could get into scenarios, which is probably maybe why they're taking extra care with Ghost. They're like, I have no idea. I can't answer that
Yeah,
until
sure.
it
Like
happens.
the PC launch of Last of Us could have scared a lot of these devs. Be like, oh, we need to make sure this is good and right.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I said I'm not trying to like ride Naughty Dog, but if Naughty Dog, your basically premier best tech studio, one of the best in the world, can have a rough PC launch like that, you're gonna assume most of your other studios, when they're working on it in house, are gonna struggle. Like in my brain, if I'm Jim Ryan or whoever's gonna be in charge, like if I'm like Naughty Dog was even struggling to do this, this is a little sketchy, and we should probably take our time and figure out how we're gonna put this out there. And I'm curious on the dev side if the devs are happy about this. I'm sure they're always happy about getting new players and more sales and like a whole new like player base to get on their games, but it probably does add so much more added stress and just anxieties and stuff where you're like, I've been working on PlayStation only consoles for 20 years. Now I got this entire PC spectrum where like you have a million different graphics cards and CPUs and everything. It's probably like crazy on the dev side.
Man, so wait and see. I hope eventually we maybe get those day and date PCs, because I actually think PC is a great way for like Sony to improve their business. I want Sony, these, because they're currently having a lot of trouble right now trying to grow the PS5 platform. So I think the best way to expand your business is include a different avenue.
I think they always wanted to go day and date with PC at some point, and I'm just to say real quick, everyone reading this headline and thinking they're doing what Xbox is doing and the games are going to come to Xbox. No, it's just
No.
you're not getting that. Don't get your hopes up. Like he said the word PC. He said the word PC in the quote, like computer. Like these games are not coming to your Xbox as much as you want them. Like this is not an Xbox situation.
Astrobot on Switch. That actually would be cool.
I'm gatekeeping Astrobot from the Switch fans.
Oh man. Well, we'll wait and see. That's definitely a fun one to think about. Moving on from the PlayStation Nation, now we got to go to the Xbox Nation. Very exciting. We had the big business update, the Xbox podcast. What do they call it? The special episode of the Xbox podcast or something?
Business update.
Oh, just business update? Okay, well, that's fun. This comes from Thomas Franzesi from Digital Trends. He did a great write-up of everything. I highly recommend checking it out. Every key detail from Xbox's business update, new console, multi-platform games, and more. So the first one, 4 Xbox games are going multi-platform. Actually, before we even get into it, what did we think of this? Like as a podcast, like are we like happy with it? Are we confused? Like, what is our opinion?
Kind of like knowing what it is now. It's kind of crazy we had to wait almost 2 weeks for this, and I think they did damage that they didn't need to do, which is like an Xbox special. How about you, Moon or Fusion?
Yeah, I'm more in this place where like it kind of felt. I mean, granted, a little bit of me knew going into it it was gonna be super PR talk, and like they were gonna jump around, like they weren't gonna give us direct answers. But I was very surprised in where they took the time out of their day to be like, okay, we're gonna put a 22-minute podcast out there and we're gonna answer your questions about like where the industry is going, how Xbox is going. But after it ended, I'm still sitting here with the same questions I went in before. Like, and it's weird that they had the one Phil Spencer had the interview with who's the guy from The Verge. Tom Warren. Yeah, where they had that interview with the Tom Warren at like the same time, where like Phil Spencer was talking about like, well, Indiana Jones and blah 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 still might come to PlayStation, can never roll out. But then on the podcast, he sits there and he's like, only these 4 games, like only these 4 games that he
Only
won't
these
name.
4 games for now.
Yeah, for now that he won't name, by the way.
You'd be silly to think that after these 4 games, they're just never going to do it again. Like
it's just like they just don't want to outright say, yeah, every single game is going to come, because I think Xbox is definitely living by the case-by-case basis strategy, and it's probably going to work for them to... It's probably going to work out for them because they can look at the sales and be like, okay, will this sell more on other platforms? Does this help us, or is this not worth investing porting it? to other platforms. So I think that's probably the best way to handle this instead of just having a blanket statement saying, yeah, pretty much every game's going to come to every other platform at some point, because you don't want to make yourselves a liar in the case of, okay, well, this game A came to PlayStation like after a year, but game B is 5 years old now and it still hasn't come to PlayStation. What gives? So it is better to not give a blanket statement of saying, yeah, every Xbox game is eventually going to go multi-platform, but it does suck because now you're left in, it's always a guessing game. Like, is this game going to go multi-platform or not? But it's just a better business sense and a PR sense to not give a blanket statement.
Oh yeah, and I agree, like I understand why they did it, but it's like you said, it's now still we're still a guessing game of Blade and everything else 5 years from now on Xbox being like, is this game coming to PlayStation? Because they just won't, like, they don't. They're smart to not give the answer, but it's annoying that they just won't give us the answer. Like, just give me your full strategy. And there was nothing more annoying in the entire podcast than when Phil Spencer was just dancing around the 4 game names that we all know. Basically, it's Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, Grounded, and Hi-Fi Rush. Like, those are the games that are coming, but they would never name them. And I get you could have legal issues, or like people are saying it's probably in the Nintendo Direct. Like, they want them to announce on blah blah blah. But it's still annoying that you put on this show for 22 minutes, and everyone basically knows the games you're talking about, and you'll explain them as close in detail as you can get, but you just won't say the names. These are what the issues we talk week after week with Xbox and their communication. Their communication has been absolute garbage for the last decade since the Xbox One has launched, and they won't figure out why year after year they're getting questioned on Twitter, and the gaming fan bases are just like they can't trust any of their words over there on Xbox because they always say one thing after another and it's always so cryptic. Like, they won't just give us answers.
How do y'all feel about us waiting pretty much almost 2 weeks for this podcast?
It was 1 week. So okay, here's my thing. I think that it's a really frustrating thing that when the rumors came out about Starfield and Indiana Jones, they just didn't say anything, and then they just say, "Oh yeah, they're not coming to Xbox," or they're not coming to PlayStation and other platforms. It's like, why did you wait so long instead of just like saying outright on Twitter, or have Phil have a statement just saying, "Hey, these games aren't going; they're being considered." Like, you could say like, we don't want to rule it out, but right now we have zero plans of bringing them to other platforms. Instead, we have to do this weird game of telephone, like talking back and forth rumors, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, these rumors wrongers." I think the rumors were just straight up just rumors, because the rumors were basically they're talking about bringing these games, which is clear. They're talking about bringing Starfield and Indiana Jones to other platforms. They want to get that PlayStation piece of the pie. They're thinking about it, but it's clear it is not ready yet. So just come out and say, "Hey, these aren't coming to other platforms. Guys, calm down," instead of saying we have to wait a week. And then we assumed, okay, probably like Monday or Tuesday. Nope, Thursday. And it's like, I don't know why we have to wait so long for effectively what could have just been an Xbox Wire post. It just feels like such a weird. And obviously, this was something they had planned for a while. They had this planned in the spring, and then all these rumors kind of came out, and they had to readjust their plans. But this just feels like such a weird, like, waiting of information that a lot of these things we kind of already knew. It just, I want, again, we want better communication from Xbox. I don't know if we're going to get it anytime soon. This is such a massive company. Microsoft is a $3 trillion cap company. I don't think we're going to get that better communication anytime soon. I would like it, but it's just rough. I don't get it. I don't know what they could do better at this place.
Yeah,
It
there were
just
two
feels like
things.
they want to be on the side of controlling the narratives. Like, we will talk about stuff when we want to talk about it, and they're not going to just break until because some Twitter users are getting angry at them. So it's like it's both good in that sense and
mean-
bad in that sense.
You can't say they didn't break though, because they like got a hodgepodge of communication. They broke. They could have chose to not say anything until they had plans, but they decided
Which is
to.
what the podcast episode was. Like, they
I
probably
mean,
had this thing scheduled.
it probably would have looked different
I don't think it was
had
a
they waited for
podcast.
spring. Yeah, I'm talking about like they just didn't do this podcast. They waited until their original plans were going in place. They had more time. Phil didn't need to come out and tweet on Monday that whatever he said that honestly just made it worse. So, I mean, Xbox Nintendo and PlayStation just like completely ignore this stuff. Xbox buckles under it constantly, and it normally bites them in the ass.
It
It's
is
so
so
they, one of
funny.
go ahead, Fusion.
It is so funny that Phil Spencer Jr., like the CEO of Xbox, actually went and tweeted. Like, I know, like, I cannot imagine anyone from PlayStation or Nintendo. I don't know, like the Nintendo people, but I can't imagine them ever being like, "We hear you, PlayStation and Nintendo fans." Like, I
It'll
just
be
can't
it'll be
imagine
a
the
cold
CEO.
day it'll be a cold day in hell when Shintaro Furukawa tweets out, "We will talk to you guys about
Yeah, like
exclusivity on
they
other
just
platforms."
they would just ignore it or like wait until they had like, they figured it out.
And also something
It's
that was bugging me is that like they said 34 million Game Pass subs, the first public number we've
we'll,
got in several
we'll talk
years.
about it. We'll
Okay.
talk about it. There's a lot of the headlines in this article. First off, 4 Xbox games are going multi-platform. We don't need to go into that. We kind of talked about it, like Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded. And Phil actually explained it. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision for the long-term health of Xbox in mind. Wait, huh? Oh, and long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform creators, yada yada. And he basically states how these games were made because like 2 of them are community focused and 2 of them were games that were not meant to basically be console sellers. Of Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment being those like 2 like smaller games. And I've always actually been on the side of stuff like Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, like small games like that. Those are not going to sell consoles, so there's really no need to keep them exclusive. Bring them to other platforms. It's only a benefit to those games and those studios to hopefully create the next big game that will sell consoles. But right now, these games are tiny and they're not really like selling on Xbox. So bring it to Switch. I think Hi-Fi Rush would be amazing for the Switch audience, especially in Japan. Oh my god, I ran out of breath there. Especially in Japan. I and Sea of Thieves and Grounded, I mean, like obviously like community focused games, like those games are just gonna sell better. Like those games need to be on other platforms to help sustain and grow their user bases. I will say in general, one thing I didn't bring up earlier, I think people really kind of overreacted, for lack of a better word, into
what?
general
The
with these
internet
rumors.
overreacting to rumors
I
and non-confirmed stuff? Shocking.
I know it's crazy. It's like Tim Dog. We got him back, thank God.
Shout out Tim Dog.
Shout out to Tim Dog, friend of the show. But no, it's just like it really was just like, hey, these 4 games are the ones that are coming, and it's like, oh, okay, these kind of make sense. Like
Didn't
I
I
would not
say
have been
that last
surprised.
week?
You could have tweeted it.
You could have tweeted it, yeah. And obviously they have their things with their partners. I know people are annoyed about like why won't they say it? And yeah, I agree, it is annoying, but also it's like they do kind of need to like they have these like partnerships with these studios. Obviously, Nintendo alone, like you want to say it, and Nintendo's sitting there like, motherfuckers, you're not working with us again.
I will say, stop me if I'm about to go into something you're about to talk about. It did irk me a little bit. I know we talk about layoffs a lot, but like the
We'll
part
talk about
where
it later.
okay,
There's part about layoffs. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
okay.
Moving into it, Game Pass isn't coming to PS5 or Switch. I don't really need to read that part. I mean, like, not surprising. This does not. PlayStation and Nintendo don't want that. Like that's basically saying, hey, you can buy an
Yeah,
Xbox
yeah,
on a PlayStation. It's like, why would
they
they
don't
want
want to
that?
own that system. Unless PlayStation's
Diablo,
like give us 50-50 or something crazy. Like
yeah, the Xbox wouldn't agree with that. Definitely not. Next up, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass next month. This is kind of like a, hey, this is the first of the big Activision Blizzard deals. Speaking of Game Pass, president of Xbox Sarah Bond went to confirm that Activision Blizzard games will start coming to the service. The first one will be Diablo 4, which will be added on March 28th. I'll be honest, I'm a little pissed off because I'm like, I don't care about Diablo. Give me the old stuff. Give me those Call of Duty games.
I think he had
But
like some
this is a big
qualms
deal.
with this. Like they said, all 34 million people can play Diablo 4 on Game Pass, but that is factually untrue. They pretty much just lied about that because now they're counting Xbox Game Pass Core as part of Game Pass to honestly just pump up their numbers so
Did
it
they
looks better.
say? Did they say all 34 million?
Yep, Sarah
yeah,
Bond said it,
there was a quote,
and
but
that's just
That
factually
is,
untrue. Xbox stepping on the rake again.
yeah. I mean, like it's like we understand Game Pass Core. That is like a whole separate thing, and it makes sense. Like, oh, okay, Diablo 4 is not coming to Game Pass Core. Obviously, that is a weird miscommunication to say 34 million when we know that includes Game Pass Core. Next up, Spencer wants Xbox to last for the next 20 years. I hope so. Very much like it's like, hey, we're still going to be making hardware and services for the next 20 years, and I mean, I think they'll stay. Like, it's a big enough like
I mean,
brand.
yeah. Well, I think you're going to talk about what I have issues with.
Yeah.
in a second.
Well, we're going to talk about the layoffs now. So Spencer addresses Xbox layoffs. Fusion had something to say here. I'll read this part. Quote, what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone with that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platform that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that can be successful, and that is really down to being a part of an industry that is growing. So Fusion, you had beef with this comment?
Yeah, I had beef with this because he says that, then like he goes into the layoffs and all that, and then Sarah Bond like immediately, I'm talking about right after this, was like, we had the best year in Xbox, we broke records, blah blah blah, like most highest user count. Like she literally was like, Xbox had the greatest year of all time. Right after Phil Spencer's like, all these layoffs. Like if you're telling me you had the greatest year of all time and you're still laying people off, it's your fault. It's you. You're the problem. Like you are the problem. Why are we sitting here talking about layoffs and how it sucks to lay people off? In the very next vein, you're talking about how much money you made. It just seems so tone deaf to me that you would put both, like you would say that exact sentence after you were just talking about layoffs. And maybe I'm just reading it into it too much, but it just seems astronomically dumb that they just even went that entire route of being like, oh, Phil Spencer talking about layoffs. Industry doesn't grow. You're gonna have people firing people. That's what we did. Ha ha. And then like the next moment, she's like, $1 billion company over here. We're just making all the money. I don't know. It was probably, I don't know if it's a me issue, but it just seemed very tone deaf for them to sit there on the podcast and be like, all these layoffs, and then here's all the money Microsoft actually made.
I mean, there's really no good way to address layoffs, but I do kind of agree where it felt like a weird, like, hey, we just, 2023 was an amazing year, and the layoffs happened. It's like,
I'm just gonna
just
let you all in right now. This is a very common practice because I also work for a major company. I'm not going to say on the podcast, but I do work for a major company. The same shit happens in there too.
Oh yeah, I know this happens in every industry. It's just so annoying to continue to see where like they act like they care about layoffs and they'll sit there and they'll put on a face and be like, yeah, it sucked we had to let go of 1,000 people. But in the very next vein, they'll be like, oh, also look at our earning calls and we made 40% profit this year. It's like, well, then where was that money going? To your already million net worth CEOs, or like to the people that were actually making these products for you?
Yeah, no, I genuinely just like, I don't like the way that any of these layoffs are ever addressed by these companies. We have a story about how a CEO addresses his layoffs later. I can't wait to dunk on that. Moving on though, Xbox is seeing all-time high user counts. Even in the article, they say somewhat contradicting Spencer's points about the lack of industry growth. So shout outs to I forgot the guy who made the article. Your name, you're awesome. Bond later shared that Xbox is seeing the highest number of users ever across several platforms. Quote, we're at the highest level of users on the console, the highest level of users on PC, and highest level of users on cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And we mentioned earlier, that's 34 million, including the Game Pass core. I mean, like, just thinking about it, it makes sense for the double-digit growth on PC. Do we think the Xbox consoles, there's like kind of like reaching a plateau in terms of like Game Pass growth? Because obviously it's growing still. It's very much like you're getting it year over year, but like everyone who buys an Xbox gets Game Pass.
I
I
think
would say, yeah, for sure.
I think Game Pass has reached a stagnation that they didn't think would happen this early. I think they were aiming for like 50 million Game Pass subscribers probably by around this time. And that's just not, they're so far away from that. Like if Xbox was as successful as they thought they would be, there would be no way in hell these games would be going to PlayStation and Switch. Even if they would be more successful, there wouldn't be a conversation for that.
My thing is, I think you can obviously tell that I think everyone who wants Game Pass has Game Pass. and they've had Game Pass for multiple years, and that's why the number just hasn't risen. Because when you're having record low sales for like your console hardware, like when you're still getting outperformed 3-1, 2-1, you're having less people buy the Xbox every year. That means just less people getting Game Pass unless they're on PC, and PC's like that's a whole other topic. But it's been known for like 2 years now that Game Pass is kind of sat where it's been, and there's still like it's still a great number, but it also I'll be interested a year from now to see that number because of the games that are coming for Xbox. Because granted, that number hasn't grown that much in 2 years, but the games on the platform haven't been amazing. Like they haven't been Game Pass sellers.
That's what they thought Starfield was going to be, and if Starfield can't do it, what can?
Hopefully, a better game.
Indiana Jones.
Like,
I mean, you say
Damn,
it's a better game, but they were even.
People love Starfield.
I mean, they were banking on the Bethesda name, like their new IP. That's what they were banking on to sell Game Pass, no matter its quality, and that just didn't happen.
yeah, no, I definitely see your point where I can see like if Starfield, but I think Bob said this on the podcast this week. That's the thing where like I think they realize, oh man, Starfield's not even pushing these Game Pass numbers up. We have to pivot somewhere in the business side because if Starfield, Todd Howard and Bethesda can't do it, what can? Like that was their oh hurrah! Like we got Starfield, we have the next big Bethesda RPG. Oh, it didn't do like as well Game Pass wise as we thought people were gonna come in. Like maybe this is like Starfield could have been the final like they hit that wall where they're like this is the last like experiment, quote unquote. Oh, Starfield comes out, let's see what happens. And maybe it was also like it just didn't do enough, and that's why they're doing the entire pivot.
I mean, there's a lot to say to be honest about Starfield. But I mean, like my viewpoint. This is a question I have for you guys. Starfield comes to PlayStation, just PlayStation. How much does it sell?
3 million in the first year.
I think
the problem is now at launch it would have done a lot better, but now the mixed reviews to just be like, it's pretty good, kind of consensus that it has now reached, probably not as high as many would suspect.
Okay, other question. How much do you guys think Skyrim has sold?
Ever?
It's
Yes.
a
Let me
lot.
think.
50?
It's over 50. I'm gonna guess like, but is it more than Witcher 3? I think it is. I'd guess like 65 million.
Okay, so you went a little over. It's at 60.
Okay. Yeah.
So
the thing is,
60 million units for Skyrim.
Skyrim is a proven quantity, whereas Starfield isn't.
I mean, yeah,
So Fallout
Skyrim
4
is
is
just considered a way better video game.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Fallout 4 sales is at 13.51 million. Honestly, the most interesting one. I'm going to check right now. Fallout 76, because that's very much selling on the Bethesda and Fallout name alone.
Didn't it sell really well, actually?
Well, okay, so okay, they do players. So Fallout 76 hit 17 million players. I wish they would actually say sales. Apparently, selling 1.3 million units combined during Bethesda's game's first week for Fallout 76.
I mean, I think the day it drops on PlayStation, it at least sells like 1 or 2 million.
I mean, you would think. That's definitely one to think about.
Like, that's what, like, these 4 games, they're not going to do as well as Starfield, but they're testing the waters, and they're just going to be successful, so obviously more things are going to come.
Just a fun little thing. Do you think these 4 games combined would have less or more sales than Starfield?
Less. I think
probably
less.
I think Rush will definitely be the one that really pushes the number.
Yeah,
It'll be probably the best selling. Well, no, Sea of Thieves does have like a cult. Yeah, Sea of Thieves has a cult following that could push it.
I think more because they're just cheaper in nature.
I would say, how much is Sea of Thieves? I've never like.
That might be the only like full price, but the rest are like
40
or 30 bucks.
40 bucks. Sea of Thieves is 40. At least on Steam, Sea of Thieves is 40.
You know what's fucked is Hi-Fi Rush was 30. I'm like, come on, I would have paid 40 for that game. Like,
that was 30? Yeah.
That was weird.
So maybe Grounded's like 20 or something. I don't know. It's pretty cheap. I'm sure.
I wouldn't know. I played them all on Game Pass.
Oh, Grounded's $40 too. That seems steep.
No, Grounded has like. That's the thing. Grounded has such a core audience. I actually don't know how well it would do on other platforms. I feel like it wouldn't be that much of a seller because like people talked about it in 2022, but even then, like people just weren't really like raving about it the same way I thought they were gonna be.
It has its dedicated following, and that's about it. But granted, you can say that about almost any kind of like live servicey game like that.
It's one of those survival
That's true.
games where like I feel like the people who like love it, like really love it, but then the majority of people are just like it's cool, like I don't want to play it again. Like they play it like once or twice and they're out.
That's what I'm getting the vibes of Helldivers right now.
Helldivers
Next,
haters. Sorry.
we'll talk about Helldivers. Xbox is working on a next-gen platform. Bond affirmed that Microsoft and Xbox are not leaving the hardware game during the podcast. Quote, there's some exciting stuff coming out on hardware that we're going to show this holiday, and we're also invested in the next generation roadmap, Bond said. What we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation.
That's the noise.
That's just marketing. That's just marketing.
That's just PR talk.
You have that
like
on, You have that on top
we all
of
know,
already talking about what's next, and I find that very annoying.
I mean, like, I think that's just to reaffirm, like, hey, we're still making consoles.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation has been probably working on the PlayStation 6 for a couple of years now.
Just
Same
say,
with like
hey,
Switch
we're
and
not
Switch.
gonna
I think
Probably
it's
like a
just-
Switch 3.
Here's the thing, Bench. I wouldn't usually agree with you, but I think, like, right now, they wouldn't have said that if it wasn't for all the rumors. Xbox is leaving. I think they just wanted to reaffirm, like, hey, we're still making consoles. We're still going to be making stuff.
I guess, but
Yeah, I
then
kind
you
of
get
agree
that
with
PR.
that.
but then they're talking about
Mm-hmm.
it'll be the biggest generational leap. Like if it,
Yeah,
I
but you
again,
got to
get
get
where you're
excited.
coming
You got to
from,
make them excited.
but
You have
also
to say
they
like
are.
exciting.
you don't kind of know what the final next Xbox is going to look like right now.
Well, yeah, of course they don't. They're just it's marketing. Like we know it's marketing.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
find that
Yeah,
read
you're not
these
going to go
things.
on there and be like, you're not going to go on there and say like, yeah, we're working on the next Xbox. It'll be a
It's pretty
console, all right.
cool.
It's kind of cool.
If
all
the
right.
Xbox isn't going anywhere, there will be another one. I don't know.
Hey, who knows?
You gotta
Next
bring
up-
the hype.
They gotta like sell the Xbox user base and say, hey, we are still making consoles, and the next one's gonna be a good one. Hopefully. Next up, game
Real quick,
compatibility.
sorry.
Oh, go
I
for it.
think
Go for it.
I think the interesting part is that they said there's more hardware this year. Like something from the Xbox team
Oh,
is
did
coming
they?
this holiday. Yeah. They said
Controller's
more
coming, like I predicted.
Probably the digital Series X then.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like that
That's
little
what I mean.
cylinder thing or something. Like there's
God, that
something
was
coming this
ugly.
holiday. Like
I hope they
controller as
revamp
well.
that design.
it's not. I doubt it's a pro because all the rumors and stuff were like they weren't going to do a pro and everything. But it's still and a handheld would be crazy. I don't think it's a handheld, but they did say like there's exciting hardware stuff for this holiday.
There's
New
that rumor
controller.
about
Yeah,
there's
new
that rumor
controller.
about what's it called? The next generation starting in 2026 for Xbox. They want to try to fast track it to get ahead of Sony. Do you guys have any like thoughts on that? I don't really think that's true.
I don't
From what
like
I
that.
understand from most tech people, is this PlayStation 5 and Series X are pretty much still on par with what a home console can be. So any kind of leap in a pro version is going to be very minor because they're still pretty top of the line, like tech wise.
I mean, that's like Sony's gonna have a pro and Xbox isn't, so it just I don't know.
Yeah, and it's
mean,
going to be
that'll-
very minuscule of a pro of a
mean,
PS5 Pro.
I mean, Xbox does have a Pro. It's called PC.
it's
No
not-
rebuttal.
You gotta go.
I'm mad.
That's that. You know, it's true. Like that's how
No.
that's their Pro.
I think it's actually interesting if they try to fast track to 2026 because they could. It's not a terrible idea to be like, hey, we're releasing our because that's what the 360 did, right? 360 came out before the PS3. Or am I
Yeah, a
crazy?
year.
Yeah,
No, it was
and like
2005
that
to 2006.
that did help the sales. Like it 100% helped the sales. Where like the Xbox 360 was selling more compared to the PlayStation 3 until basically the end. Like the PlayStation 3 passed it like near the very end. Like it would help Xbox because people love tech and they love the next gen stuff. Where like if Xbox really was like, hey, our console's coming in 2026, best console on the market. They're never gonna do exclusive next gen games because Xbox doesn't believe in generations and all that crap. But like if they did, that would 100% be a way where like it wouldn't make up for everything of the Xbox One gen and this gen, but it could be a complete way where they get ahead on PlayStation. Where like if the PSX PS6 is truly not ready till like 2027, and you're taking a whole year where like the Xbox gamers are getting the best version of every AAA like third-party game, like the next Respawn game and the next FromSoft game. If they genuinely have a next-gen console that is running these games better, people are going to buy that console. If the PlayStation is just not, if it's not out yet. But the good thing is, the One Plus to Sony side is I doubt the Pro won't be nearly as good as whatever that next gen Xbox is, I assume. But at least like PlayStation could have that Pro and be like, hey, at least we're kind of close to your next gen console, like performance wise.
It's like your game of Spider-Man will load 30 seconds faster. Not even 30 seconds, like 3 seconds faster.
30 seconds, dude. Hey, I want to play that. Hang
Yeah,
on.
it already loads in 3 seconds.
I know, I got ahead of myself there.
It's like you start up the game, you're at the final boss. Like, what the fuck?
Well,
that was quick.
Actually, I don't remember where, but I'm pretty sure some of these games like actually just make loading times a thing. Like they don't need them, but they put a couple seconds.
Oh yeah,
in
it's
there.
like I remember reading that. It's like not psychedelic, but like it's a mental thing that like we gamers want at least a little bit of a loading screen to like prepare ourselves.
See, I'm fine with that.
It also just helps the hardware. Like even if it's a 2 to 3 second load time, it helps to be able to load everything in the background compared to like genuinely no loading screen.
Yeah.
Just whatever you do, don't put tips on the loading screen if it's gonna load in like 2 seconds.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I'm gonna try to fucking read it and then it's like, oh, gone.
That's what Horizon would do. They'd be like, do it, you can't read it, it's gone.
It's like, damn, I'm trying to figure this out. I actually need help. Next up, this was an interesting one. More than 10 Xbox first-party releases are coming in 2024. As the podcast concluded, Booty teased that there are, quote, more than 10 releases from Xbox first-party studios happening this year across all platforms. He specifically named Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, which was like the second one he named. I don't know why that was the Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Avowed, Ara History Untold, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, leaving at least 5 of these new releases a mystery. Now, if we don't do the BOP thing and consider like second-party games, not Xbox games, so I do think what was that game called? God, it was like a Knights game. There was like a tower.
Towerborn.
Towerborn. Thank you. Yeah, so I think Towerborn is one of them because I consider that what they deem as like a first-party game because that is a game coming in to Xbox, kind of like how Helldivers 2 is a first-party game.
The WoW expansion.
Bob is gonna fucking kill me. WoW expansion, yeah, they would count that. What
is
else?
Is that 33 Immortals indie game? Is that published by Xbox at all?
I don't think it's published by Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
That's just Game Pass. Thinker. Because like they have like so many studios now, it's really hard to like pin it down. Obviously, we're gonna hear all this. They did say the next showcase is coming in June, which is the next point. Oh, that's the final point. Actually, is the Xbox showcase is coming in June, which is like, duh. Like of course we knew
at least it's nice they say it, and they're just like, at least if there's one thing we can rely on every non-E3, we can get an Xbox showcase. Like,
yeah, really.
When everyone else doesn't do anything, at least Xbox is still like, hey, we like doing these things.
I'm so glad they like doing those things because they'll never get old. I'll always have fun doing them.
I always love them. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I doubt like South of Midnight's not ready. Like there's definitely like Perfect Dark, bro. It's been years. It's not ready, but like, come on now. Like,
yeah, I just double checked. So 33 Immortals is being self-published by the developer Thunder Lotus Games.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of a hard name though, Thunder Lotus.
That's a good game for Game Pass since it's like 33-player co-op.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to check it out. It sounds fun.
More than 10 is insane, though. I don't know.
I mean, they think they said just straight up 10. Oh no, more than 10. Never mind.
Yeah, more than 10 releases. They probably got out there with like 12. I mean, I guess Call of Duty. That was dumb of us. Call of Duty's on there.
Yeah, Call of Duty would count. Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I'm very excited to see what those 10 releases are.
And I wonder if they would count like mainline Call of Duty and like whatever the next Warzone is. You know how Warzone's always Warzone 3, Warzone, like when they come in the next Call of Duty, I wonder if those are separate because they're separate, like one's free, one's not, you know what I mean? Interesting.
We'll see. Very interesting. Moving on. Tom Warren did an interview with Phil Spencer. We alluded to this interview earlier. and he kind of took a snippet out that's very interesting. This comes so Tom Warren says this. You mentioned that Starfield and Indiana Jones aren't part of Force despite rumors, but will those ever come to PS5? Can you rule that out? And then into the actual article, or Phil Spencer's response: I don't think we should, as an industry, ever rule out a game going to any other platform. We focused on these 4 games and learning from the experience. But I don't want to create a false expectations on those other platforms that this is somehow the first 4 to ever get over the dam, and then the dam's going to open and that everything else is coming. That's not our plan today. I also don't want to mislead customers on those other platforms. We're launching these 4 games and we're excited about it. We're excited about the announcement and everything else, but we'll see what happens for our business. And Fusion, you mentioned earlier how this kind of frustrated you. It's like you can't get a clear sense of communication.
Yeah, it's like I just don't understand where you're having this interview like alongside your podcast. Like I understand, I don't know how it lined up with.
I think that interview was before the podcast, but
yeah.
it released literally like the moment the podcast
Yeah, the
dropped.
minute the podcast dropped, Tom Warren was like, "Let me drop this real quick." Like,
It was
it's just
fucked.
weird that because they did like we did the entire 20-minute thing, and there's still headlines right after that. We're still like, Xbox won't confirm if Indiana Jones or blah 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 isn't coming to PlayStation. Or like I saw there was still multiple headlines about Gears of War, and there were still multiple things after the podcast that were coming out still that were like they're still thinking about Gears of War and Starfield and blah and blah and blah. It's like, wasn't that the entire point of your presentation 20 minutes ago to tell me what exactly was coming or what could like?
But those are just headlines because people want the clicks.
I mean, yeah, they're headline, but they're also it is as the Xbox fan base you want to
Discussions
know.
that they're having.
As the Xbox fan base you want to know.
At the end of the day, these discussions happen. We know they'd happen, that they were discussing Gears, Halo, all these like major Xbox franchises. But right now, there's nothing set in stone. And I want Xbox to just say without question, hey, these are not coming to other platforms. Now you
And they
could
never
say,
will,
oh,
because it could be 5 years from now. They'll be like, you know what? We can get a little bit more money from these games. Let's put it on another platform. So they're not going to set anything in stone.
No, and I agree, but like right now, you don't have to just say, "Oh, well, we don't ever want to rule it out completely." Just say, "Hey, we don't have any plans." Like that's simple and clean. Right now, we do not have any plans
That's what
to
he
come to
said.
other platforms. No, well, he said right here, I don't think we should, as an industry, ever rule out a game going to any other platform.
Yeah, so that's
You
pretty
don't
much
have
their
to say
statement.
that. You don't have to say we don't want to rule it out. Just say straight up.
And to be honest, they are coming, and he just does like they're coming, and it's whatever, and he just can't. You can't have Phil Spencer, CEO of Xbox, go up there and say, "Yeah, these games are coming at some point," because another meltdown will happen on Twitter. Like,
of course,
this is just. That's the frustrating part, is because I deep down believe that Xbox and Phil Spencer and everyone else there knows this is happening at some point. You're not stopping after these 4 games. Just admit you're going fully pivoting. Like just go out there and admit it. I'm saying I understand Moot's point. Easier said than done. Lawyers, everything else. I'm talking from a pure consumer perspective, not business talk. None of that. We are consumers of this medium. I just want you to be honest and tell me the things that are going to happen, because we can all read. Like we can read through the lines. It's just annoying that you're dancing around it so much. Where like Xbox is obviously pivoting. They want Xbox everywhere. They want Game Pass to be everywhere. They don't care about the console anymore. They can say it, but they don't. There's no backing up the console argument for them. It doesn't sell. They never talk about it. It's Game Pass everywhere. Like that's what they're doing. But they'll sit here day after day and just corporate talk us. And I'm tired of the corporate talk. I just wish there would be like, you can't be Phil Spencer, the friendly CEO of the company that everyone loves, and still sit here and just go in circles constantly in interviews since 2016. He once said PC games, he once said their Xbox game will never be day and date with PC. They've been day and date with PC for 4 years, which they did get him in trouble at that time. And maybe this is why he doesn't ever confirm like something completely, because it's not black and white. It's a completely gray area. I just wish from a consumer perspective that everyone, this is not just a Microsoft thing and an Xbox, I just wish more people in the video game industry, it's so secretive compared to every other industry. Even movies and TVs are more open than what the video game industry ever is. And it's like, why? Why is the video game industry so secretive compared to everything else?
We don't have to hype up movies.
I don't watch that many movies, but it's just like it is
Good
a
man.
crazy thing where like video games are getting so big, so much money's putting into this stuff, and still it feels like the consumers are so left in the dark across the entire medium on so many things. And I understand they don't owe us anything, but at the same time we're spending our money, we're working our jobs, and we're going to these places, and we're giving you our money.
Well, that's the thing is though, it's like why do we even care about what they're saying? If the game is gonna come, it's gonna come. If it's not gonna come, it's not gonna come. And that's usually like years, months later. It's like I only care about like the here and now. It's like, okay, Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves and all that are coming. Okay. Indiana Jones is gonna come at some point. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna play on whatever platform I want. I don't need that's why I'm not so invested in this story, is because I'm just like, okay, whatever, fine. Do whatever you want to do.
Because
Did he
as
tell you-
someone who can only afford one console, if you're an Xbox fan, if you're a fan of video games, you can only afford one console, and you're sitting here and you're choosing between an Xbox that can play half the games as the PlayStation, you're spending $500. Everyone didn't just have $500 to just throw. People will save for years and years and years to get that console. If they're going to end up picking the wrong one, that's a huge blow to people. Like that's not just a $500 is whatever. It's the fact that if I'm sitting here and I could play Indiana Jones, Starfield, and Spider-Man on the same console, or I can only play Indiana Jones and Starfield on this one console, and I really, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's a gray area, but we're talking about a lot of money for a lot of people across everywhere in the world. That like when you're this secretive and this gray about it, that people are going to end up losing money, and it's just going to hurt you in the long term to just not be open about things.
Just to
And I think-
counterpoint that a little bit, the people who are very casual gamers, they're not looking at the stuff that we do of like, yeah, here's Xbox plans, here's PlayStation's plans for the next couple of years. They literally just go to their local Walmart, their local GameStop, and see what's on the shelf and see a game that they're interested in. Let's just say the most common ass normie game right now, Hogwarts Legacy. They see that game is out right now, and that's the only game they care about. They're not thinking about, and they'll see like an advertisement for Indiana Jones. They're not going to be thinking about other stuff like, is this game going to be on PlayStation like a year or two from now? They will see the one little bit of advertisement from Xbox saying, hey, it's going to be on this Xbox, and they'll make that decision then and there. They're not researching this kind of stuff. So it's really just a problem for us who's paid so close attention to the industry, where the only games that the normies care about is just whatever is sitting on GameStop shelves. So I think that's why they don't mind being a bit secretive, or whatever their strategy is of being just less is more in the information, because they know like we'll always be looking at like their Twitter feeds, their announcements and all that, but everyone else isn't, and they know they don't have to because we're just going to be
think-
sitting here.
I think you're kind of underestimating how much information gets around now, especially like TikTok is a big reason why a lot of people know this stuff. Like I talk to people who like don't pay attention to the game industry like I do, but they know the Xbox news because of short-term media consumption. They know this stuff. And games are expensive now. So if you're going out to try and buy a game, you're going to look into the game you're going to buy most of the time. People aren't going to
Yeah,
spend $70.
the game that's already out, not the game that's coming out 2-3 years from now.
I still think that I'm more on Fusion's side for sure. Because
My only
okay,
push.
my thing. Okay, so my thing is like, you say that, but it's also like, who are they going to ask which, what platform to buy? The hardcore gamers, and the hardcore gamer is going to say, oh, well, you should buy a PlayStation because they're all coming to PlayStation either way.
yeah,
My thing, I see part of your point, Moon, but if this was the case of like the casuals don't care about what's coming in the future, why does PlayStation with the good games continue to outsell Xbox? Because the casual knows Spider-Man is coming to PlayStation. It's not coming to Xbox. If Spider-Man was coming to Xbox, more people would get Xbox.
Yeah, because of the advertising that Sony does, and they know that PlayStation is the home of this Sony, or that Sony is the home of this Spider-Man game, all because of that marketing. Now they're gonna walk into GameStop, see that advertisement for Indiana Jones coming to Xbox, and if they're super into that, then they're gonna get the Xbox that they want, or whatever. They're gonna focus on that one thing. They're not gonna do any research into be like, well, can this game come? Obviously, they're gonna have the gamer friends who can inform them, but I think a lot of people are just in the dark about a lot of that kind of stuff.
I mean, I still don't really agree.
So my viewpoint there, I agree with you to a point, but my viewpoint is why don't they like? I feel like the Xbox branding isn't affecting these games as much as we think it should. I feel like Blade, that should be really saying it. This is Xbox exclusive. I don't know why these games just feel like I don't. Why do I not know right now for sure Blade is an Xbox exclusive?
Yeah, didn't
Even
they,
though
like,
it really should be. It makes sense for it to be. Now we don't know. I don't know.
didn't
It's
it
just
take
like
like 2 weeks for it to get on that Xbox?
2 weeks
No, it
to
was
go onto the
no, it was like
YouTube channel.
a couple
for Xbox.
days.
No,
I
it was
think
a
it was-
week. It was definitely more than a week. I remember that.
Here, I can look into it.
Yeah, check that out real quick for the Xbox YouTube channel. But I don't know. It's just like there's a
But
weird
as I said
divide.
I don't know if it was last podcast or the podcast before, but I think with stuff like Blade, because of the IP, they can't just outright say that stuff yet, because there is a possibility that Disney and like Warner Brothers, when it comes like to Hogwarts and stuff like that, if the bigger company owns these IPs, they might not just rule out exclusivity right away. They might say, it could be a multi-platform. I think once we get a big, like I said, it was, if we get a big Xbox title, that's an original IP for Xbox, and they're still pulling this like, oh, is it not multi-platform? Is it exclusive to Xbox? Is it exclusive to Xbox? Then yeah, we start panicking. But I feel less worrisome about the big IP games, because there is so much legal crap regarding that there's a possibility that it could easily just be, yeah, Xbox, you get the marketing rights to Blade because you're helping funding it or whatever. But Disney's gonna be like, this is multi-platform. We're gonna get that money back. So
Then why can
I-
Spider-Man be exclusive to PS5?
because Sony owns the right to that game.
I think
No, I
Marvel,
think they probably paid for the
Yeah, so-
exclusivity.
Yeah, they paid for the
Sony owns-
exclusivity.
Sony owns
and also they
Spider-Man.
own
They own the
Spider-Man.
movie they own the movie rights.
They only own the movie rights. It doesn't really affect
Oh,
like,
yeah,
the
I
gaming
guess.
rights.
But
They license the IP, but it's a studio that they paid for.
It was-
Like it's a
yeah.
studio they own.
it was 5 days, by the way.
Oh, it's
And
5 days.
also,
Okay, that's actually not
and
as
to
bad.
that point, we know Xbox could have got Spider-Man exclusive. I mean, Insomniac, Marvel came to them, so it's not like Sony just ended up being the one who bought it. Like, so it wasn't really just a PlayStation could only get Spider-Man, blah blah. It was more like, I'm pretty sure the reports were like Marvel came to both PlayStation and Xbox, and PlayStation just ended up wanting it more, or however it went.
yeah, so they paid for it.
And we're sitting here, like, we know at 30 something, there's going to be an X-Men game, and we know it's never going to Xbox. But we're
Can't
sitting
talk
here
about
for
the leaks, man.
we're sitting here talking about a Blade game that's probably 2027, 2028, and we don't know if it's going to be just on Xbox.
There's this immediate knowing that like if your game is if it's a PlayStation game, it's going to be PlayStation only. It's not like coming to other platforms. And I feel like Xbox is kind of missing that, like just saying it outright. It's only coming to Xbox and PC. There's this weird divide. There's rumors right now that like the next Doom game is going to be like on other platforms. It's this favorite word, case by case basis. And all I really want is when you reveal the game, just say at the very top, this is only on Xbox, this is only on PC, or it's on Xbox and PC, it's coming to PlayStation, just outright. I don't want to do this like guessing game for every Xbox exclusive, because
I
it's
mean,
getting
we say
tiresome.
that, but also, do you remember when Hogwarts Legacy was revealed at the PlayStation Showcase? People talked like it was a PlayStation exclusive, but no, it's just Sony had the rights to reveal it, and they just marketed it like a PlayStation only game. It wasn't until later that we found out, oh, there's going to be an Xbox and a Switch version. Does no one remember that? I do.
I don't remember that at all.
Honestly, I don't remember, but I could.
I don't remember
see
that
it.
to date. Yeah,
Was when was it revealed? That was a state of player showcase.
That
I
was a
forget.
state of play reveal. It was like
it
a
was
February, March state of play.
the platforms were revealed? No, it was at the. I remember now. It was the PlayStation Showcase 2021.
Yeah. So everyone thought it
Um,
was a PlayStation exclusive for a little
Oh, no,
bit until they eventually. Granted, it could have been maybe like a day or two.
I think
It
the
was pretty
platforms
quick.
were there.
No, because
I'm
it was the state of play. They didn't show any other platforms. They you just assumed it was a PlayStation exclusive because it was at the showcase.
I'm gonna search up the Hogwarts Legacy reveal trailer.
I mean,
I'm gonna
Xbox
see.
pays to keep trailers off a certain amount of times, just like PlayStation does. Like, these Atlas trailers are like, some are coming to PlayStation, or some are delayed and stuff, and then they're just on Xbox. That's where you're gonna find your Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor trailers.
Because they're
Yeah,
paying for the marketing.
I'm not just blaming Xbox. Like I said, it's a whole industry thing.
Yeah.
Like the Xbox definitely does it more than most. Like, and I'm watching the trailer back now. They didn't have any platforms.
There
To
is
be
no
fair.
platform.
Yeah, it was at a PlayStation show, but
Gee,
all they
just
said
like
was
Blade.
2021 and didn't put anything. So
I think that's the weird part with Blade was that it just wasn't on Xbox's channel, but it came out to Bethesda's
It's also
immediately.
first party. We know that. So.
Well, yeah, I guess that is different, Moon. That Blade is a first-party Xbox studio. Hogwarts was just Avalanche showing a game.
Yeah, but how many third-party PlayStation games do we have now? It's like, you don't know. They could have just struck a deal with Warner Bros. Be like, okay, yeah, we're making Hogwarts Legacy.
But to be fair, every time they do have a deal, PlayStation tells you. They throw it in your face.
Not in that reveal trailer.
But they didn't have a deal.
Yeah, because they didn't have a
with
deal.
Hogwarts.
They didn't have a deal. That's why they didn't throw it in your face.
There was no deal with Hogwarts. The game was on everything. If Hogwarts was exclusive, they would have said, "Hey, by the way, it's only on PlayStation." They would have thrown that in your face. Because you know how I know? Because that showcase opened up with Final Fantasy 16, and at the very end, big bold letters, only on the PlayStation.
On PlayStation.
Yeah, because PlayStation just loves to do that shit.
Yeah, so they didn't do that with Hogwarts Legacy. That's what we're telling you.
That's what we're agreeing on the same point.
We're all agreeing. Okay, so that's what PlayStation, like, they tell you if a game's only on PlayStation. They didn't say that for Hogwarts Legacy trailer.
Anyways, that was just a rant earlier of me just saying, like, I just wish, like I said, it wasn't just sexual. I wish the video game as a whole, the landscape was just less secretive. And like, I understand things shouldn't leak. That's a whole nother thing, but I just wish we knew more. Like, we're always so in the dark, I feel like, on so many projects where it's just like, can we just get something? Can I just let me know, kind of like you said, where like just when you show your game off, immediately tell me what platform I'm playing this on.
To avoid talking in circles, I think it's clear. Like, we can all agree, Xbox needs better communication.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing from this whole Xbox thing, Chris Gullion at VGC has this. Is a quick headline. Phil Spencer wants Xbox and Sony and Nintendo games on Xbox, but says he doesn't expect it. This is not. Wait, hang on. In an interview for journalist Stephen Totila's GameFile newsletter, Spencer said the decision to bring 4 Xbox games to other consoles wasn't intended to make its rivals follow suit. Quote, "This is not for me like some kind of bartering system. We're doing it for the better of Xbox's business. I will say, when I look at a game like Helldivers 2, and it's a great game, kudos to the team shipping on PC and PlayStation, I'm not exactly sure who it helps for the industry by not being on Xbox. If you try to twist yourself to say like somehow that benefited somebody somewhere. But I get it. There's a legacy in console gaming that we're going to benefit by shipping games and not putting them on other places. We do the same thing." So yeah, I mean, like, that's not really much to say. I doubt like we see PlayStation and Nintendo games follow suit to bring stuff onto Xbox, because not in the far future. Maybe PlayStation, but Nintendo.
Yeah, this is kind of. I didn't like this headline only because like people were calling like Phil a hypocrite and stuff, but like he said in the thing, like they're doing the exact same thing. Like that's why, you know what I mean? They did that with Hellblade and everything else. Like they're doing. So like at least you know. So like I think this headline was a whole nothing burger. Where like I think people again Twitter were like Phil Spencer's a hypocrite, but no, he says if you just read it, he says we're doing the exact same thing. He wishes he wishes it was different, is what he says, but like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. To me, like, complaining about exclusives is weird to me. If you really want to play the game that badly, you can buy the console. It's video games. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, speaking of Nintendo, as Bench said, sources: Nintendo Switch 2 will now launch in 2025. This comes from Andy Robinson over at VGC. I'll give credit to Xbox. At least I get some games this year. Nintendo's next console could launch later than expected in early 2025, it's claimed. There's, according to a Brazilian journalist, Pedro Henrique Lipe, who claims in a new Oxtail Controle video that he received the information from 5 separate sources. According to the sources, they are also working on games targeting Q1 2025 to launch alongside the console itself, which is internally slipped out of a previous 2024 target. Eurogamer reports it's heard similar whispers from industry sources this week, though has not been able to concretely substantiate them. Update: since publishing the story, VGC has heard from multiple sources who said Nintendo had told publishers its next console will now launch in Q1 2025. According to the sources, third-party games companies were recently briefed on an internal delay in Nintendo's next-gen launch timing from late 24 to early the following year. One publishing source suggested the delay was so that Nintendo could prepare stronger first-party software for the console. It's possible the next-gen Nintendo console will now follow a similar timeline to the Switch, which was released in March but announced the previous year.
They called me crazy.
When did you say this, Bench? You keep
I'm
saying
pretty
that,
sure
but I
it
don't
was
remember you
on a
ever saying it.
podcast, and several times I said I think the Switch 2 is 2025. And y'all all called me crazy.
I don't remember that. I mean, this isn't fully
GTA 5 or GTA 6.
I mean, we don't have a full confirmation, but yeah, I do kind of think with all these sources, it feels like when there's smoke, there's fire. Everyone really did just bring it up at once, oh yeah, actually now I'm starting to hear this. That sucks.
Sounds like a recent development. Everyone's just now getting the news.
I mean, we know people were all gathered at DICE, and that's an industry-like event. So I'm sure things were passed around.
Was it? It wasn't. No, it was GDC last year where something similar happened. Where right after GDC, there was a bunch of people apparently saw the Switch 2, blah blah blah, a bunch of random stuff like that.
When people get together, they'll talk.
Yeah. Oh, Gamescom, there was definitely presentations regarding the Switch 2. I want this thing. I want it already.
I'm a little surprised by if this is really 2025, but also whatever.
Yeah, well, it doesn't affect you. I don't care about you. It affects me.
If Nintendo fans really want this year, I mean, so be they can have it.
I'll live it. I don't care that much. I didn't care as much about oh, I want a Switch 2. I was oh, it's gonna launch with 3D Mario. That's what I want.
Yeah, I'm honestly I prefer this because I just have more time to play other things, and I mean, save money, I guess, because that would have been a lot of money. So
I was telling Bob on this, I think it's also smart financially if they're hey, we're gonna put this thing out next March 2025. It's going to immediately sell out because the Switch, and then by the time your stock and everything's getting back up throughout the year, once holiday hits again, you're gonna have an insane blowout again. All these kids who have been saving their money and waiting for Christmas, it's like when you put a game on PlayStation and then a year later put it on PC. It's different, obviously, but you're getting that double dip. Switch is constantly gonna sell, but it's gonna be say it came out this holiday, it's gonna sell out no matter what. So if you put it in a dead part of the year like March, it's gonna sell out, and then the holiday you're gonna get also.
Makes sense.
Does the Switch pass the PS2 now?
It'd get real close
with an extra year, maybe, but I still don't think so.
It's gonna have a whole new other holiday season now, and you have to imagine there will at least be something.
Yeah, but the Switch will be announced within the next 6 months. Probably this thing will get announced. So who's in the middle of this upcoming holiday going to be I'm gonna buy the Switch right before Switch 2?
A bunch of parents who don't know about Switch 2.
Parents will do it, but the majority will hopefully know a Switch 2 is 3 months away, and they're not going to be I'm gonna buy a Switch real quick.
Do we still think
they're gonna advertise the fuck out of the Switch 2? I'll tell you that right now. Nintendo.
You know what's also gonna get actually, you know what? It's possible the PlayStation 2 could. I mean, the Switch could pass the PlayStation 2 because what's going to happen is, the Switch 2 will be on the horizon, and then all the retailers are going to discount the Switch.
Get it for $100.
Yeah, for $100, get your Switch, and all the people who just are very super casual and just want to play a game or two, and be this is the time for me to jump in.
Do you think Prime 4 is this year? And is the reveal
yeah, that's kind of March? So I do want to bring this up. Okay, so 2024, that's going to be a slow year for Nintendo now. I really thought it was going to be a big year with the Switch 2, but now I'm kind of okay, it's going to be very much a lot of ports. Year. It all lines together, but it's going to be a lot of ports and re-releases. Yes, Paper Mario, Bench. I love Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. You know that, but not a console set. Like, it's gonna be like
Yeah.
it's a 20-year-old game, and I'm excited as hell for it. But like, come on,
Do we
it's not
get
a new Paper Mario.
the Zelda ports in like the Fire Emblem remake?
I think Zelda ports and Fire Emblem remake for sure. Well, not for sure. You never know with Nintendo. I think Fire Emblem remake is pretty guaranteed. Like that game's done. We know it's
Yeah.
real. I do think Prime 4 is an interesting one.
I think it's,
I think they still launch it, do like a dual release, like Switch and Switch 2. I think they just delay it to 2025.
and then do we
And
think it reveals in March?
It makes sense to get ahead of GDC, but I also think maybe they want to stick to the shorter marketing cycle, and maybe they just hold out on it.
I think it depends on what their
Yeah,
summer
because
plans are.
didn't like Fire Emblem Engage have like a month and a half marketing cycle?
It was like September.
It
to
was like about
January.
4 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I think it
But no,
depends on what they want to do this summer because we are not getting a full direct now because they just can't show us anything, and they'd be put back in that situation in June if they don't say anything about the Switch 2.
if we get a partner showcase in June and one in February, I'm like, oh man, it's COVID times again. We got just shitty directs again.
This is a random question, but do you think we'll be able to like the GameStop deal give them your Switch like towards the Switch too?
Oh yeah, because they want that resale value because the Switch will still sell a lot to your average consumer who they're gonna turn around and be like, buy a used Switch for like $75. They're gonna want that inventory. So yeah, they're gonna have a turn-in thing for
I
sure.
like
Yeah,
that. Give me $200 off if I give you this OLED Switch. We might be talking.
Oh yeah, and that's how I got my PS4 Pro. Was I turned in my PS4, which was half broken by the way. It was glitching out, and they gave me $200 for it. So I got a PS4 Pro for $200. I'm like, hell yeah,
that's what I'll do with the 5 Pro. Just give them my PS5 and
yeah. Why have the 5 when
That's
you
an
can have
easy way
5
to do
Pro?
it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, love Nintendo. Next up, Helldivers 2. We got some headlines regarding this game. A very big deal indeed. This comes from Insider Gaming. Grant Taylor Hill had this. Helldivers 2 blowing through estimates with 1 million sales. Helldivers 2 was released on PlayStation 5 and PC recently, and it quickly became one of the most talked about topics in gaming. Despite some teething issues that brought down immediate reviews of the game on platforms like Steam, the resiliency of the team deploying hotfixes couldn't be denied, and with that, the game became PlayStation's biggest launch on PC to date. On Twitter, the CEO of Arrowhead, the game's developer, stated that sales were around 1 million, referencing that the game had already blown through estimates. Now, oh wait, actually, I do have one other stat to bring up, and this comes from Okami Games. It hit 250,000 concurrent players as the peak, which puts it far and above PlayStation's recent like output in regards to like putting stuff like God of War and Horizon on PC. This is the
passed
highest
Halo.
concurrent peak. Did it pass Halo?
Oh
Like
yeah,
the peak for Halo?
Yeah, it's now at 277,000, and Halo was
Oh my
at
God.
Halo's peak was 272,000. It passed Halo a few hours ago.
That is insane. I mean, the momentum this game has is pretty crazy, and we talked a lot about Helldivers 2 like earlier, but like it kind of just shows like, hey, you make a good game, people will buy it. Simple as that.
Yep.
You guys, I'm still debating, dude. Are we jumping on this? I want to jump on it, but like the problem is like I'm trying to get a friend group together to play it.
I'm starting to get people that I know to want to get on it, so
I
I'm
mean,
down.
Vince bought it, then refunded it 2 days ago. Now he's gonna buy it again.
Well, if we as a group commit to like playing, yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah,
Again.
I'm stuck in the
I
middle right
don't
now
trust you
because
guys.
exactly I need both my friend groups to get it. If we're gonna get it, and then at least that's like a good enough people where I can bounce off, because my other friend group, I was just talking to them. I'm like, they're like, one of them bought Helldivers 2, another one's thinking about it. I'm like, if they get it, and I'm like, you get it, and Mood gets it, and Minx gets it, and we all get it, that's enough people where
That's
it's
enough
like,
people.
if Moon and you guys were on one day, and they are, at least I can play with them, and you know what I mean? So it's like, it really depends if I can get a good enough number where I'm like, I'm going to play this game more than twice. Because if I'm playing it only twice, I'm going to be so salty if I spend $40.
But I do think
Is that
that that they're also like they're really like heavily investing in this game now as well, which gives me confidence for its future. Like they said, they're like their original roadmap post launch is completely scrapped. They're hiring a ton of people. They're putting a lot more in this game than originally planned, and that's honestly pretty cool to see.
Do we think Sony buys this guy's Arrowhead?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sure the calls have been made and they're probably working out numbers right now.
I could
I would assume
see,
so.
like, I guarantee they've had talks before this, and they're kind of like, "Hey guys, if this is some critical success, we're scooping you like soon." Because, like they said, they've only
This
ever
is what
made
Sony needs.
they've only ever made a PlayStation like a game for PlayStation. Arrowhead never
Yeah,
made a game for
Helldivers one.
Xbox.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like an Insomniac, where like there's already a like trust and bond there. It's like makes sense to like buy them up at this point.
I guess it
Yeah,
depends
we'll
if
see.
I mean if Arrowhead wants to be bought, but I assume like I take a company like Arrowhead would love PlayStation money. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Helldivers, that game looks like so much fucking fun. It is like
we need to do it.
we. I need to get my
We.
other friend group first
Like,
because I
who's
don't trust you
we?
guys. Yeah, Bench, you dropped Tekken after a week. I definitely don't trust you.
You dropped it for like a week and a half as well.
hey, he's been
What do
playing
you
a
mean? I was still
crazy
playing.
game.
You
Those-
were not playing while you were playing Infinite Wealth. Don't lie.
It would actually be so funny though if he refunded it and then he goes back and buys it. PlayStation's like, what is this dude doing?
It would be the first time
What
I've
is
done
his
something.
plan?
It's not
What
like
is
the
I
this
mean,
video?
didn't
wait.
Jad do that with Baldur's Gate too?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He refunded it and then bought it again.
Bench, did you have troubles with the refund process?
Nope,
Because
it was-
PlayStation's refund
I was
process is
probably on like
ass.
a support live chat for like 5 minutes.
Dude, so that's the thing. That happened to me too when I accidentally bought this guy at Don't Ask. And what happened was I went through the chat. I didn't download it or anything. And the guy said, well, you downloaded the game, but since it's your first time, like I'm just gonna go ahead and refund. It's like, brother, I did not download it. What are you
That's
talking
happened
about?
before when I
How
refunded
long
like
ago was that?
okay, but I think now it's kind of they're a lot more lenient on it.
I hope so. I mean, especially after the Cyberpunk debacle.
Yeah,
I
it was.
assume.
I like after Cyberpunk, they completely did it. The funniest story about Cyberpunk real quick is the day I refunded Cyberpunk. I was on chat support and I'm texting the dude and I'm like, "Hey, Sony just announced they're refunding anyone who wants to refund Cyberpunk." And like the guy I'm texting, like chatting with on the chat support, had no idea about the tweet because remember Sony just randomly tweeted it out. PlayStation was like, "We're now refunding blah blah." I had to tell the dude, "Hey, check Twitter." Basically, I literally was like, "Hey, check Twitter." PlayStation themselves said this, and like we went through an entire like 20-minute conversation before he finally was like, "Oh yeah, I did see that." Like I guess I assume like some email, like the internal memo came through that like they're refunding all Cyberpunk like people who wanted to refund Cyberpunk, but it was so funny that I'm like, it was like a check Twitter moment of like,
Look
hey
your
dude, your
phone.
boss, your boss just said they refund me, man.
I mean, at that point, it's like just ask your boss real quick and then just come back to me. Let me see your manager. All right, guys, you guys ready for the weekly The Embrace? I'm gonna start calling the Embracer. I'm gonna start calling them The Embrace.
They should embrace the layoffs.
The
There you go.
The Embrace says it's looking out for shareholders. This headline. The Embrace says it's looking out for shareholders after cutting almost 1,400 jobs. This comes from Chris Kerr over at GameDeveloper.com. Embracer has reaffirmed its unrelenting commitment to maximizing shareholder value after laying off almost 1,400 workers in 6 months. The company provided an update on its sweeping restructuring program in its fiscal report for the third quarter ended December 31st, 2023, and revealed it laid off another 483 employees during the last quarter. That means the Swedish conglomerate has made precisely 1,387 layoffs throughout Q2 and Q3, equaling to 8% of its total headcount. Although the company said the restructuring program is making, quote, good progress, it feels like it's unlikely to achieve its target of bringing net debt below SEK 8 billion, or about $761.6 million, by the end of the current fiscal year. To boost its chance of hitting that goal, Embracer intends to pursue, quote, certain divestment processes that could, quote, significantly reduce net debt. That means studio sales could be on the horizon, with Embracer claiming some negotiations are reaching, quote, mature stages. Discussing these job cuts and potential divestments, Embracer reassured onlookers that its overruling principle is to always maximize shareholder value in any given situation. It added that certain companies might initiate restructuring before any divestment is announced. So it sounds like its studios under the Embracer umbrella might be told to downsize before being sold off. And then we also got a quote from our boy Lars Wingforce. Shinobi had this one. Layoffs are, quote, something that everyone needs to get through. You can debate the speed we want to build organic growth, but the ambition was obviously to aggressively, organically grow the company. Now we need to adjust for that. Great company, am I right, guys?
I felt like this is like, I think people are saying it. This is the secret stuff like you don't say out loud. Like this is the stuff where you just like keep to yourself. You don't say this to anyone like publicly in an
Just
interview or
saying
anything.
outright, hey, we're here to serve the shareholders
Yeah.
first. It's like, what the fuck? What are you
You just
saying?
you keep to yourself, and he was just like, at this point, people hate us. Let's just keep going. Like,
I want them out. And that one part of the article where it's like some of these studios might be sold off. It's like, please, because they do not need to be under the embrace. It's like, the fact that they own the Tomb Raider IP is fucked, and like they own Crystal Dynamics, Limited Run. They own so many like very high quality studios and things in general that is like, why? Why they don't know what they're doing with this shit? They
yeah,
really
just
sorry, good.
they should just get out of here.
Like, everyone.
They
I
should
remember
just
when
move to like a different medium. Get in the movies.
yeah, let them die. I don't care. So they bought the fucking licensing rights for the Lord of the Rings, by the way. Like they can like make games and stuff with it. Also, I didn't get this in the article. They also canceled like 30 games or so, or something around that
Yeah.
amount.
It was
So,
42 total, 29
42.
between June and December of just last year.
29.
Was KOTOR one of them?
That was probably
We
like
don't know
before
for
then.
sure. We still don't know for sure. Maybe it's alive. Deus Ex, we know, is one of them. What a
But
great
yeah,
company.
like that's insane. 29 in 6 months. Like what? They were just like every
They
other
were on
day
the
went
coast.
into a studio and they were like, "Hey, you're working on that? No, you're not." Like,
This sucks. See ya. I mean,
Yeah.
they got probably Borderlands 4 maybe this year, if not next year, like early next year. Maybe they're hoping that can at least get them some cash flow, because they were really relying on that Saudi deal with that $2 billion investment that just didn't go through, and they didn't account for it. So now they're laying off fucking 1,400 people. It's insane. Great company. Can't wait to talk about them next week. Another interesting story. Shinobi has this one. Bandai Namco has canceled 5 titles in development following losses in the prior quarter and longer dev cycles. New evaluation rules and stricter pillars for greenlighting new games. So is this in response to that JJK fighting game that is apparently dog shit?
Apparently that game was like, I don't know if it was
It
dog
hit
shit or
0
just
players.
yeah, it was like as generic as generic as it gets.
It was really bad. People did not like it. I'm hoping what this means is they're saying, hey, for anime fighters, we're not gonna make this cheap like JJK type games. We're actually gonna like put money into these games.
Like the Dragon Ball thing.
Yeah,
More like Jump Force.
Sparking Zero, Fighters Z. No. We don't say Jump Force in this household. I'm still mad about Jump Force, by the way. That could have been so fucking awesome. Like, come on. Like, let's get a Jump Force 2, right, guys? Okami Games has our next story. Silent Hill 2 remake is in the final stage of development. Blooper Team president responds to state of play trailer feedback. Quote, we are not responsible for the marketing side. We think that when players see real gameplay, they will evaluate it a completely different way. Motherfucker, that was real gameplay. What is he talking about? That was good gameplay. I saw the motherfucker shooting the nurses, hitting his board. Is that not real gameplay? What is real gameplay then? This game's gonna suck. I've accepted it. Whatever. Ruin one of my favorite games. I don't care.
mean, I think what they mean by this is the same thing we said about Avowed, where that second trailer was just like, what? Like, why did you put this out? Where I feel like, granted, they could be lying, but I feel like they were like, whoever put this trailer together for Silent Hill 2, Konami was like, yeah, they were like,
Focused
why did you do this?
Yeah, they were probably. It was just a third-party studio that just like, okay, we need to make a cool action-y trailer. Show all the action footage you can give us.
Yeah, like I think they just didn't hit that. Like I could see a world where like the next Silent Hill 2 trailer is like actually looks a lot better. Because I remember, I know you guys don't like the first trailer, or someone here doesn't. I remember talking about it. I thought the first trailer was great, and then like this trailer was like, what are you doing? It was kind of the exact same with Avowed, where like the first Avowed revealing was awesome. The second trailer, not so much, and then the recent, I was like in on Avowed again, so it'll be interesting.
It wasn't really that the first Silent Hill 2 trailer was bad. It's just like I just at the offset was so against the idea of Blooper Team remaking it.
Yeah, when the studio named Bloober Team showed up, you were out.
Yeah, no, exactly. Next up, this is some good news. It kind of update on Toys for Bob. This more on NL3 has this on Twitter. Not shutting down. Downsized from 86 to 50 people. Offices closing as the rent lease was running out. Too expensive to keep for 50 people. Toys for Bob going fully remote. Wanted to go remote themselves, not Microsoft, and new projects in the work. So overall, it seems mostly positive. I am a little worried about the downsizing from 86 to 50, but hopefully that just doesn't mean too much. Maybe the new project in the works gets me excited because that just tells me it's like, okay, they're not just support, like we're gonna get actual games from them. Yeah, but I'm hoping. I'm hoping everything works out for them.
This is way better than for those couple days where we thought it was just completely over. They were in the dump.
And like not to like go on. I don't want to like continue dunking on Microsoft. That's far from what I want to do. I just wish they came out and said, "Oh no, they're not shutting down." Like just say something. Like that's
Yeah.
all.
But it's
Next
also like
fusion.
it's not Microsoft's place to announce something like that. Like this was not really supposed to be public information. The only reason we got this statement was because everyone was freaking out.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was like a shutdown of the studio, like the
Yeah,
actual
it was
office.
basically like a business report saying, "Hey, this office building is closing down. The company that had it is leaving. It's now available." It's pretty much it was pretty much just a for sale sign. Pretty much is what this was.
Yeah, it was
Saying,
like
"Yeah,
that
this
San Francisco company that just
yeah,
put it
it's a
out
San
there.
It's like they're in
San
charge of like
Francisco Triton.
organizing. Yeah, so they're in charge of all the business updates. Like, hey, this office building is now available because the previous tenant is leaving. So that's the only reason we've heard about this story in the first place. So it's just like, why would Microsoft have to respond to something like that?
Yeah, I don't think this was on much on Microsoft. It was more on that, and but again, the leakers, like, they can do good sometimes, but it was one of these situations where they just all started to run with the headline immediately, and that we all thought doom and gloom.
Just shut it down like pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then
thankfully.
Jez
It was
luckily
just
came in and was like, like figured it out, but
we'll see. I'm excited for that new. I'm assuming Spyro. I'm hoping Spyro's next. I love
I think it
Spyro.
would be cool.
Yeah, I always like Spyro more than Crash. Keisha, you're gonna have to help me on this one. EA Sports College Football 25 is officially releasing this summer. Full reveal coming in May. And then there was a little trailer for it. This is Okami Games had this one. Fusion, do your thing, football
No,
man.
this is hype. I'm gonna put this out there. It's not GTA 6 level, obviously, but for sports fans, this is. This tweet, I understand the GTA trailer way more likes. Obviously, it's GTA. I mean, the GTA 6, yeah. It had like 700,000 likes. But this tweet of them tweeting out this trailer had over 100,000 likes. It had 28 million views. The GTA 6 trailer on Twitter only had 37 million.
Oh my
Like,
god! It was after. Okay, wait, hang on. We're not gonna do this.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying for people who think NCAA and college football and sports games mean nothing to people. This is the equivalent to Rockstar tweeting out like GTA 6 for the sports fans in the video game industry. Like it's been 11 years since the last NCAA game. I don't know, it's a big deal.
So you Bop and explained this before, but like, what about this game? Like, do you have like hopium that like it's not just going to be reskin Madden? Do you think like they are going to do something truly brand new with this franchise?
Yeah, I think I like it's EA Sports, so I still always have my doubts. Like I was literally like Madden just came to Game Pass a couple days ago. So I recently downloaded that and was playing with a friend, and I was still having like there was things happening in the game where I'm like, I swear if this makes its way in the NCAA, I'm gonna be pissed. Like things are still like happening with Madden and like EA Sports, but like it's things like this where they're talking about they've been working on it for years. Like this game's been in development for like 4+ years, where Madden's an every year thing. Like this is the longest time a football video game has been in development. So like there's like signs to pointing towards this could be genuinely a generational type football game for the football fans. Like NCAA 14 at the time was one of the best football games like ever. It's considered like one of the greats, and like it ended on that, and it sucked.
Bob's
So
favorite
like
game of all time.
yeah, like it's it's a lot of people's favorite video game. It's a very good video game. So it will, if they can get any of that spark, I doubt they can bring it all, but if they can get any of it, like I think it will be a special time for like sports fans of like it, just NCAA is like above Madden in the way for all of sports fans of video games. Like basketball, it doesn't matter what you are a fan of in the sports world, you play the NCAA compared to like Madden. It's like you only play Madden if you like the NFL.
Like this is a sports game like I might buy.
Yeah, like this is something Vince should
Ooh.
get in there and play as Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Like he can rep his college, and like he can get games in and like have fun with friends. Like hopefully
You
has
better-
crossplay.
You better go against me, Fusion, and I'll win.
Who
We
you
won't,
repping,
but we
Fusion?
could.
Who's your college?
Ohio State's who my colleague is.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you guys explaining to me why people love college football so much, and I totally get it. It's an interesting
You don't get it.
sport. I do. I'm trying.
He's gonna be a Texas Longhorns fan soon, I believe.
I swear to God, I feel like a father
might-
trying to connect with his children whenever I talk to you guys about sports.
You know, I've gotten into sports recently.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
impressed.
I am impressed. I thought I was thinking Wolf under my wing as the football guy, and you snuck in there.
I tried. I watched that game of football, and I was so like, I'm sorry, I was
You
so
didn't try
fucking
hard
bored. I didn't watch it enough.
You
Dude,
didn't try
they
hard
hit.
enough. I forget what
They
game you
hit.
played.
Okay, they
Fuck.
hit each other. They hit each other. Hit each other. I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
Well,
bro?
that's
I don't get it.
it's your fault for watching the Ravens. They're not a good team.
You
I
didn't
wasn't
watch the
watching Ravens. I
You
was
watched,
watching
like-
Cowboys.
Yeah, it was a
That-
Cowboys
that-
team.
That's your fault. That's your fault.
That's my fault. I know. They fucking suck. One day, yeah, man. Next year. That's our year. Let's go, Cowboys.
But I will say, I would jump in with NCAA is the video game is a perfect example on how you could get into the sport. Because you know video games, you know how video games work, you know mechanics. So like for me, NBA 2K, like 14, like way back in the day, I was not a huge basketball fan, and I picked up the NBA games, and then you start playing those games, and you start learning the players because you're playing the games. You start learning the teams because you're playing the games. Like NCAA could be that type of thing where like you pick it up on a deep sale because me and Bop are playing it, and you like join and for some matches. You know what I mean? And then you're learning the sport because it's the exact sport you're seeing on your TV, just in video game form.
No, I played Madden in the past.
You were probably great at it. You were probably a
I was
dog.
terrible.
Oh.
I was terrible. I didn't understand anything that was happening. But no, I played it. I'm like, you know what? If I did put the time in, I would like it.
I respect it.
Moving on, another Fusion story. This comes from Mario 64. Alan Wake 2 has sold 1.3 million copies and is Remedy's fastest selling game so far. Quote, by comparison, Alan Wake 2 sold over 50% more copies and over 3 times more digital copies in its first 2 months than Control did in its first 4 months. Okay,
It's a
real quick,
digital-only
the stat
game.
about the stat about digital copies, it's a digital only game. Of course, I would hope.
We'll see.
Quote, the successful launch of Alan Wake 2 has supported our other game projects, Condor. Oh, I thought that said Concord. I was like, what? They're working on that? Condor, Control 2, and Max Payne 1 and 2 Remake have all increased development pace, and thanks to the personnel released from Alan Wake 2, and we expect these projects to reach their next development stages during the first half of 2024. We now have 2 established franchises, Control and Alan Wake, which are linked through the Remedy connected universe. Growing and expanding these franchises will be a key part of our future.
And
Fusion, what's your immediate read on this bad boy?
Hype, but too low. These sale numbers are too low.
I
like,
like
this is
3
great.
million is surprisingly low.
This is great for Alan Wake and like the team, and like they should be proud they've sold this much. But it's more of like this still hits for like I think Remedy is just still a little too niche. Like 1.1 million is a lot, but they're still not like as mainstream as I want Remedy to be. Like I want Remedy to be like a 5 million seller, but it's also to the defense of these low numbers. It's digital only, so you're no physical sales, and there is no Steam release. This is a Epic only game on PC, and that does a lot of
I
harm
forgot
to
about
your
that.
game. Like this game isn't on Steam, so you're already right there at an L. So the fact that when you throw those in, 1.3 looks even better. You're like, wait, we got Epic money, whatever Epic gave us, and it wasn't on Steam, and we still sold 1.3 million. Like I think one of the devs tweeted out this morning. It's sad to see. He said something along the lines of like, it's sad to see how people don't realize how hard it is to sell 1 million copies because people are giving them crap. Like Alan Wake, I was only sold 1 million, like Game of the Year contender, blah blah. But like that's it. Like for the type of game Alan Wake 2 is, that is awesome. Like we said, it's selling twice as fast as Control. Like every Remedy title sells better than the last one. Like it's great to see that they're getting on the map, but they're still not completely there. And I'm hoping the Max Payne remakes and everything else, they just keep building up on it, and Remedy's a bigger name, household name. But like at least now they're. I think I read that Alan Wake 2's budget was like 70 million, so they're already past that number of like how they should be already in the range of making money back on this game.
Yeah. I mean, I really need to play this game, and the Remedy Connected Universe is just such a amazing idea. I'm really digging that. And I'm curious if they fold Max Payne 1 and 2 remake into that universe.
Yeah,
It'd be
they do.
interesting.
They
But
said that.
I'm hyped that they did cut like this is one of the few times they've called it the Remedy universe. Which it just gets me, I don't know, it
Have
just
they?
gets me extra, yeah, where it gets me extra excited where they're like talking about like they consider Alan Wake a established franchise. Like so I'm expecting, I'd hope for more Alan Wake in the well, hopefully more Alan Wake just comes in the future and like we're getting more Control, and Condor is the Control multiplayer game. So like just keep throwing me this weird stuff, Remedy, that just fits in your universe. Just keep doing it.
I forgot Concord was
Well,
the
will the
multiplayer game. That's actually
will the
good.
I'll ask a question for Bob here. Will the Control multiplayer game have random jump scares throughout while you're playing with friends?
No, Control's not a horror
No,
game.
Control doesn't have any jump scares in it, so But yeah, that Condor is the multiplayer game they're working on.
Give me that Control 2. That's what I want.
That's better be next. I mean, I assume that multiplayer
I mean,
game is
Concord's
probably next, but I want Control 2 bad.
Same. I could
I
see
want
that
it
in like
bad.
2025, maybe 6.
Dude,
2025.
next
Right up
fall,
there with GTA 6.
yeah, next fall, let's
If-
be thrown GTA 6 for Control 2, guys.
okay. Slow down, buddy. Moving on. This is our last story. 3-hour show, by the way. Exclusive. Respawn is developing a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game. This comes from Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. Insider Gaming sources have revealed that Respawn Entertainment is developing a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game that is in its early stages of development. According to sources, the game will see the player take control of a Mandalorian bounty hunter, unclear who, set during the time when the Galactic Empire is dominating across the galaxy. It's your job as a bounty hunter to capture bounties dead or alive for cash rewards. As first reported by VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, friend of the show, the game was being led by Respawn creative director Mohammed Alavi, who left the studio to pursue his next adventure. According to Grubb, who didn't disclose it was a Star Wars game at the time, but has recently, the game will be focused on mobility and style as guiding principles. Update sources have since revealed that Alavi was not directing this game and instead was directing a canceled Apex Legends game. I'll be honest. I fucking hate this news. This made me so fucking sad when I read this news story. I've kind of made my stance. I don't like licensed games at all. I'm kind of getting sick of it. And the thing is, I better strap in because this is definitely companies are wanting to play it safer and safer these days. And what's it more safe than a licensed IP? Those are going to sell off the shelf. I'm just kind of annoyed that Respawn, a studio that made Titanfall, which is just the GOAT of first-person shooters, is now basically just pigeonholed into making Star Wars games now. I'm hoping maybe Titanfall 3.
It's a linear game. It's a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I guess, but like again, it's just Star Wars. I'm so fucking sick of
Yeah.
Star Wars. And it is funny though. You saw I remember seeing the tweet and like Titanfall 3 was trending and everyone was just like, "Damn, we got this instead of Titanfall 3 and a washed franchise." I know people are excited about it. I know Dark's really excited about it, but he's not here, so I can shit on it in peace. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
But
you're not.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm frustrated because I know Respawn can do so much, especially with the Titanfall IP, and honestly with a new IP. I want anything else other than just another Star Wars game. I'll play the next Jedi game, but I'm just getting sick of just Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars for everything. But yeah, live and learn. Fusion, did you have
Um,
any thoughts on this?
yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein where like they're Respawn have 4 unannounced titles. 3 of them are Star Wars. 3 of them are Star Wars of the next 4, which is a little annoying when you have a franchise called Titanfall. So,
Gotta support Apex, baby. Get that Apex money.
Apex is Titanfall 3.
nope, don't ever say
Shut
that.
up.
I will beat
Shut
you
up.
up. I just, yeah, that's my thing. Is like this, and also first person. At least it's shooting. That helps. But like we all know, I'm not a huge first person fan. At least I'm not out there with melee combats and whips, because that would be a little annoying. But
Damn.
not a huge first person fan. I like third person games, so that already pushing me back a little bit. But at least I think they had to kind of go first person because they can't make it so close to the Jedi games. You can't have your Jedi Survivor game, your third person Jedi game, and then your third person Mandalorian game. I mean, you could, but and compete in a way that you probably don't want them to. So it's probably good
Market
that they first
confusion.
person.
It
And
looks
Respawn
weird.
knows how to do first person. Titanfall, obviously, Apex. Like this game will probably play really well first person, but that's just a whole other story. It's just I just wish I don't have a connection to Star Wars. I know the story through the Lego games. I've said it before.
Hey,
I
same.
I play the Jedi games because I really like it. Star Wars Outlaws looks awesome. I've never watched a movie and never care really to watch a movie. So like The Mandalorian,
Good man.
as a face word value, nothing for me. I don't care about The Mandalorian. If the game looks cool, Respawn is one of those studios to me. I don't think they missed. Every game they've put out is at least good. So I expect this game to be good.
I 100% believe this game's gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna love it. But like, it's just, man, another Star Wars game. Like again, Jeff Grubb was talking about it on this podcast. Apparently, Titanfall 3 was gonna have elements from Hades and like take a lot of inspiration there. And so, Fusion, we could cry about that, right? Like we're depressed, right?
We can cry. I thought Moon, don't you like Star Wars? Or you don't like Star Wars?
I am totally indifferent.
Oh, okay. I thought you really liked Indiana Jones at one time too. So,
Yeah, you just assume a
we
lot of things about me.
keep putting facts into Moon's mouth.
I just feel like every time I'm talking about a movie, like Moon's the first guy there that's like, I've seen this
It's
movie.
because I'm just knowledgeable about stuff. I not only pay attention to games, but I pay attention to movies, TV, anime. So I just know a lot, and so I just talk like I'm a fan. That's just how
You're-
my words operate.
Jet's the big movie guy. That man loves movies. He would marry a movie if he could.
Well, yeah, like The Mandalorian, like I know Dark's excited, and people have been wanting this for a long, long time. Like people are like, I want a Mandalorian Star Wars game, so like this is cool. I thought it would be more of the Outlaws vein, Star Wars Outlaw type, where like you're going around the galaxy, but this seems more like Big said, linear, first person. You're dropping in and out of planets. Like, it'll be interesting at the very least.
I'm excited. I mean, I'm not excited.
I'm whelmed, but I guarantee when they show it, I'll be excited.
Oh yeah, for sure. When they actually show it, I think it could actually be a lot more interesting.
And it's going to show off, and we're going to see this trailer, forget about it. If it's gonna like showcase and look like Titanfall 3. We're getting baited. I can already tell a year from now it's gonna be some reveal trailer, or we're gonna be like, this is Titanfall 3, and it will be this game.
I mean, what if it's Titanfall 3 with a Star Wars skin?
I don't want it. I mean, I'll take it, but I want Titanfall 3. I like the Titanfall IP. I like the franchise. I like the
That
world.
universe is so good. Like that universe is so well developed. It has so much lore, and it's all at Apex. And you know, it sucks. I'm part of the problem. I have like 600 hours in Apex. I'm the reason. I'm sorry,
Apex
guys.
is a solid game, even though Dark
No,
for
it's
some reason thinks it's the worst video game ever made. But
Okay, here's the thing about Apex. When it started, like the first couple of years were fucking awesome, and then it just kind of went to shit. Which I feel like it's the kind of like story of every live service game now. Maybe there's a trend here. Who knows? But that's everything in regards to the news. Pretty busy news week. Let's talk real quick about what we're playing, and we won't spend 20 minutes on VR. I've mentioned Bob. I think Bob's been mentioned like 5 times in this
The
episode.
shade.
He would love the podcast, and he's gonna love you for sure.
So I'll just go real quick. I beat Infinite Wealth. My game of the year so far. I mean, I played like 2 games this year, but yeah, I fucking loved it. It's a 10 out of 10 game. Like to me, like that is a game I spent over 100 hours in. I did everything in, all the side quests, every possible thing, because I just didn't want to leave that world. It is a perfect follow up to Like a Dragon, which is already one of my favorite JRPGs, and this game just kind of improves on pretty much everything. There is nothing that I think it does worse than Like a Dragon, which is very rare for sequels for me nowadays.
It's a 10 out of 10.
I just said it's a 10. Again, the
listen
bench
to him,
never
man.
listening accusations.
He hates you. Is it the best
you-
Yakuza?
I have
Whatever it is.
Yakuza.
Yakuza, whatever it is.
I mean, like, I've only played Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth. I played a good amount of
fraud.
Zero. Though I will say this. I do plan to actually play through the whole series now. I'm pretty like dead set on it because of Infinite Wealth has a lot of callbacks, and now I'm so invested in these characters, specifically Kiryu. I want to know everything about his story. But yeah, very, very excited to talk more about Infinite Wealth. Hopefully as Sagi's. Man, when do you think you're gonna jump in on this? Because I know you're kind of doing Persona.
That
right
was
now.
what I was going to be talking about after I talked about what I've been playing. But yeah, I want to. It's really I'm tossing between Infinite Wealth and Rebirth, and I don't know what I'm going to settle on. Thankfully, I still have like another 2 weeks until Rebirth comes out, so I don't know.
I'd say Rebirth because you know for a fact the Final Fantasy fans are going to be yapping about it on Twitter.
They're going to be yapping about it, and I feel like there's a more possibility of spoilers.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's not much that I think you could spoil without context in this game. It's like if they give you an out of context spoilers.
Yeah, the fact that it's been out for like 3 weeks now or something like that, and I haven't seen pretty much anything outside of some voice actors I know saying, "Hey, I'm this character in the game." That's all I've literally seen of the game. So yeah, I feel like the people that I at least follow on Twitter aren't spoiling this game. Now there's a possibility things might happen with Final Fantasy, but yeah, so I think I have to focus on Rebirth, unfortunately. So look forward to me gushing about Infinite Wealth in like April.
Hopefully, I need some support. So for Sagi's. And I do want to kind of like do the group discussion real quick of Persona 3 Reload. I think me and Moon have actually been the only ones playing it because Bench dropped it.
Well, I'm literally gonna start it back up early next week, and I'm actually pretty excited.
So yeah, you dropped it though. But yeah, no. I mean, I started it, so I'm about like 5 or so hours in. I'm kind of torn. So here's the thing: I actually fucking love Tartarus. I'm sick in the head. I've accepted this.
No, I
I'm a sucker.
understand.
I love dungeon crawling in games, and just something about like putting on a podcast, slowly going through the dungeon, getting stronger, like kind of having to conserve my resources. I don't know. That type of stuff just like really appeals to me. So Tartarus has not been a problem for me at all. But what has been a problem is that man, there's a lot of like weirdly slow tutorialization in the start of the game. Where I think Persona 5 is a game that just like gets going instantly, and I would actually say the same about 4. This game has this weird thing where like, oh, you know, they're all okay, here's the thing that annoys me about this game. 4 and 5, you start and like you're slowly like you're getting more and more people as you go, like party members and like people in the group, and like you're kind of uncovering it all together. In this game, you start and they're immediately like, "Welcome to the fold." Like we've already been doing this for a couple months now. Like you're part of it, and
yeah,
I don't
you're
know.
literally
Like
thrown in, like enjoy. It's like you're now part of us.
it's just like a weird thing. It disconnects me immediately from the cast because it's like we're not figuring this out together. It feels like you guys are like, it feels like they're on chapter 5 while I'm stuck on like chapter 1 of this book, and I don't know. It's just a weird thing that immediately like kind of threw me off for a loop. And also, it doesn't help that like they give you like what works about like the other Persona games is that you get these people one by one, and you get to learn about them one by one, their stories one by one, and then 3 is just like, hey, here's like 4 characters, and I like one of them. The other ones, I'm like, Yukari, you're stale bread to me. Mitsuru, I don't like you. Which I'm surprised about. I thought I would have liked Mitsuru immediately, but no, I do not like her at all right now. And I don't even remember the red shirt guy's name. I don't fucking care. I kind of like
Akihiko?
the, huh?
Akihiko?
Akihiko.
That's why I don't remember. It's a stupid name. But no, I mean, I don't know. Like, these characters aren't gripping me. That's not a good word. They haven't gripped me the same way like Persona 4 and 5's cast have. Now, I will say the combat is still Persona combat. It's fun as hell. I enjoy it. I like baton passing, though they call it something different in this game. I don't give a shit. I call it baton pass. And like, I do think as a remake, like the graphics are very heavily improved. Everything looks really good.
Yeah, all the
But-
facial animation, the models on everyone is really good.
For sure, it's just like I want to see. I've been enjoying it the more I play it. I'm like kind of starting to go like, oh, I'm excited to play more tonight. But it hasn't. It's surprising how little it's gripped me. Where I usually am just immediately in on Persona. But Moon, you've also been playing it.
Yeah, I'm. According to Dark, I might be beating this in like the next 2 days or so, depending on how like. Currently, I'm not playing tonight because I got to edit this thing. But maybe over the weekend I'll be able to beat it at the rate I'm going. And I fully agree with that. There is this weird disconnect between 4 and 5 where you are granted it is completely different in the sense of in 4 and 5 you're this person who comes to this new town to basically start over and you meet all these new people. Now you are doing that here. You're a transfer student who's come into the school and you got to meet all these new people, but there is something different about you getting wrapped up in this situation where in 4 and 5 you are almost like the beginning of the situation. So it is different in that regard, and I guess that's just what they learned from going from 3 to 4 is they realized it worked more in 4 and that's why they replicated it in 5. So it's just weird to see this disconnect like, oh, this is the origins of all the things that we pretty much know from Persona. So it's interesting in that regard.
It feels like it's like, hey, we already started. Like we're already getting shit done, and then you're just here. Like they start. This is like the very beginning of the game. They spy on you in the beginning. It's like,
Yeah,
why do I want to like care about the people who are spying on me? That's
Yeah.
fucking weird as
they
shit.
want to
And
know
I
if
don't
you
like
have the
that at all.
power.
I'm like
Yeah.
30 hours in for when I stopped. I mean, main story felt pretty flat, and the characters I'm like not. I think I'm most like liking Yukari, but that's about like I really don't like Junpei. Like he's annoying as shit.
He's the only one I like. Kind of like him.
They're going for
I don't
something
know.
with this character arc that could be cool, but like
They do improve. That's what I will say is this is the literal definition of it gets good 40 hours in because
Like-
things
my
do pick
Yeah.
up in September, October. And
yeah,
that's
here
where
I'm
I am
almost
right
there.
now.
Yeah, here I'm
So
almost
things
at that
things
point.
do pick up, and Dark will even say this, even though he's loving 3 Reload right now, he will admit this has dog shit pacing. Like you should have everything. You should have a beat of story that grabs you every
Every
so
full moon.
often. But no, you're waiting until like August, September, October for things to really pick up.
For the first like
and
5 full moons, like nothing of note really happens.
and I got to like the fucking like they got to a point in Tartarus. It's like, oh, we can't explore anymore. It's like it's the one thing I was enjoying the most. It's like, okay, shit, I'm kind of
that's gonna
stuck.
happen a lot.
What's
so.
funny is there maybe it's just the way I play, but I got to the border level of Tartarus like pretty easily in the first couple months, but now it's like such a struggle because they throw so many gatekeeper bosses at you that I can't make it to those border walls anymore, like by the full moon. So it's the difficult, and I mean to say this, but the border or not the border, but the gatekeeper bosses of Tartarus are harder than the supposed big bosses of full moons. Like those pushovers are nothing compared to what is lurking in Tartarus. Like the only one full moon boss that gave me trouble was the one at the hotel,
That
and
gave
that
me
was like
trouble.
the third full moon boss. And all the others have been easy peasy.
Yeah, but like, and then like there was the thing that was just like weird is that there was just like a month where they throw 4 party members at you randomly. And
Yeah,
Nice
it's
spoilers. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's the other thing is, your group of like Junpei, Yukari, Akihiko, and Mitsuru, that is your team for like a solid 5
25 hours.
months. Yeah,
25
25
hours.
hours. That is your lineup. We don't add any more characters for a while.
You guys are not helping me. I
I
have
mean-
Wolfenstein Youngblood downloaded. I could play that.
I'll
Like
help
the
you
thing
out.
is, like Mitsuru is
Yeah,
like
help me out.
I thought I'd love Mitsuru, and she's like stale
Dude,
bread.
same. Bro,
He-
I was like, this is so easily gonna be my favorite girl, and I'm just like, bro, she sucks.
I mean, I think she is the most like direct connection to the plot. But I mean,
She
what
is.
plot kind of?
Granted,
But-
wait, have you done the beach trip yet, Bench?
Yes,
okay,
I have.
guys, let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Yeah, let's not go spoilers, but
Yeah.
It's not spoil. I'm not saying what happens on the beach trip. I'm just saying that's a point.
but
in
there's a
time.
Yes, I
beach. That's a
did.
spoiler to me.
Oh my god, there's a beach. Damn it!
Yeah, I did, and learned some stuff there. But like, none of it was like super duper.
Just play Doom
interesting.
instead, man.
So
That's what I'm saying. I got.
yeah,
You
I
know
got
what?
to the middle of September. I have the full party now. So
Yeah.
Fusion, you played Doom. You haven't played it.
we're not talking about Doom.
If you
yeah,
like the
I just
Tartar
need-
grind so bad, just kill some demons on Doom.
Yeah. I
Sure,
just
sure.
need the story to really hit its stride. Which Dark keeps telling me like it's happening soon. So
Dark says
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, I
Who
got
is that
I
guy?
got a big story moment in October, and apparently another one's about to happen in November. That's why I stopped early last night, because he said that I was about to hit a specific date in November, and it's like a big story dump. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's midnight right now. I can't do a big story dump scene, so I turned the game off.
I will say I like a lot of the social links I've been doing. I think some of them are just very interesting things. So I'm enjoying that.
I dropped so many of the social links.
Like-
The only ones I kept up were the girls. I'm like, maybe I'll date you. You're interesting.
Yeah, I
That's the
just
only ones.
unlocked Yukari's social link because I maxed out something, and I need to like work on my other stats. But I think if it picks up, it could be good. But I don't think this. There's no way in hell this tops 5.
No, it doesn't.
Dude, that's what I'm most excited about. I
Sick.
can't wait to tell Persona 3 and 4 fans, hey, you're fucking wrong. 5 is so easily the best. You
Yeah.
wrong. You're always wrong.
I'm gonna play 4 this year. Is it? But y'all still love 4, right?
I
Three
love
and
4.
3 and 4
But, like-
share a lot of similarities gameplay wise, but the story does reflect more on more Persona 5.
I'm really
Four-
excited
four-
to play 4.
Okay, the thing about 4 is that I like the characters. I actually like them immediately.
Yeah, like I think
I don't want to be told 40 hours in I'll really like Yukari. It's like
Yeah.
I'd like to like her now.
you can
I
have
think
a
that's preferable.
you can have a bad main narrative, but have good characters that you enjoy spending time with that help you carry through that. And this game.
And that's the thing is though, I think
Yeah, that's Final Fantasy VII.
Um,
I'm kidding.
that's the thing right now is I do enjoy spending time with these people, but it's different in like how Persona 5. I think it's just because of its age. They didn't update like the story, either the main story or the side stories to flesh it out better. It's still the same old 2000 whatever year this game came out. So it has that
2009.
old game stank of old JRPG game stank. It just looks really pretty. So I'm hoping that they've learned everything from this and 5 and Royal, and Persona 6 will just be amazing because they've learned all their lessons now.
It feels weird. Okay, why do I not get confidants with the like party members? That is
Yeah.
so fucking weird to me that I don't get. I know I get them eventually, but it's like I want to bond with these guys, but like I go to the
That was
dorm room
my
at
big
night.
that,
I mean,
that was my
you-
big hang up too.
Yeah. You will not.
It's like
Male
like I go
party
to the dorm-
members don't have social links.
I go to the dorm room and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with fucking Junpei or Yukari. And they're just sitting there on their fucking phone. It's like, is this what you guys do every night? Like, goddamn, go out there, see the world. I'm talking to myself now. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I love Tartarus, man. I can't quite explain it. I'm sick in the head. I'm a sucker for those dungeon crawlers. So that's kind of what's keeping me going. But yeah, I'm interested in playing. Who is on this podcast? Bench, I guess you can go over
Yep.
your other games.
I've been playing Yakuza 0, and that's just been. I think I'm near the end, so I'm very much enjoying this. This is like could be top 25 of all time if it sticks to landing. Like I'm just adoring this game. The combat, the stories really been picking up. Things are starting to unfold that have been kind of laid out throughout the entire game, and I've just been loving that. And I've been playing Stardew Valley a little bit. I'm like 5 days in. And that's kind of been like a game I play when I want to like chill a little bit, so that's been fun. And then continuing to play the Final Fantasy rhythm game, Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, and making my way through that, and that's just been some dumb fun.
He took 30 seconds to talk about all his games, by the way. He always gets so excited to talk about his games, and then he spends like 30 seconds on them.
I mean, you told me to like speed this up.
No, it's kind of crazy. I didn't even realize he talked through all of them so fast.
Yeah.
What a G. Sorry, I was watching
It's not like Fusion even played any games. So.
I was watching a Harry Potter game versus Hogwarts Legacy graphic comparison. So sorry about that. Is it actually? Is it my turn?
I mean, no, it just now started as your turn. So yeah, go for it, Fusion.
So, as Bink said, I'm not playing games. I am playing games. I just can't play 80 hours a week like him. Okay, let's just air it out there on the podcast.
Well,
Sorry
it was
You
like
have a job.
35 hours a week.
like sorry, I gotta do adult things, sadly. But I did.
Wait, hang on,
Celeste.
Fusion.
What?
Fusion, weren't you playing Rainbow Six like most of the day today?
I gotta go. Actually, leave the fight. But that no.
No, that's playing
Anyway,
with friends. That's different.
yes,
Go
exactly.
ahead.
That's not me sitting there by myself playing that game. That's for sure. Yeah. So I started Celeste. Did I say Celeste last week
Yeah,
on
you
the podcast?
talked about Celeste like a little bit. You were like an hour in. But
Okay, yeah. So I beat Celeste. Awesome game. I not
real
like
difficult.
yeah, really difficult. Like way more difficult than I expected that game to be. Like I was like, I'd never heard it was like some difficult game. I was like, oh, this is just cute little platformer.
That's what everyone says. They're like, oh, this looks like a fun indie platformer, and it fucking kicks your ass.
Yeah, that last gauntlet, I was going through it. Like they're just like the checkpoints started to get a little like further and further out. I'm like, come on, guys, like
Give me
just
the next screen. Give me the next screen.
But yeah, that game is awesome. It's definitely like it's up there for my favorite platformers of all time. It's not like number one. It's not close. Like it's not no Hollow Knight to me or any of those. Like but it's a really good game. Like I think the story. I think they nail what they're trying to say with the story. And
So, okay, yeah, no, go ahead. I want you to continue. Sorry, I don't want.
Yeah, I think they nail what they said. I love the way Madeline, the character, like actually like feels to play as. I think they nail like the actual movement of your character, and like she's always going to the place I want her to go, like when I'm using her. So that's awesome. I think like the few characters they introduced were like cool, like unique characters that I liked having the conversations with. And the level design was awesome. Like they kept the game not very long. I put like I was almost at 8 hours. I was like 7 hours and 40 something minutes. And granted, I died like 1,800 times. Like it was a lot of deaths, but for the amount of time that the game like wasn't very large, like they had a lot of like unique. Every single level had a certain design in it that was unique to it, which I thought was really cool. But it also made some levels a lot more enjoyable than others. And it's that weird thing where in certain games, stuff will some stuff in the beginning of the game will be better than some stuff you're throwing at me at the end of the game, which is always a little weird for me. Where I'm like, you could have like saved this to the end. Like I was having more fun towards the beginning than this, but blah blah. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, this game is awesome. Like I would recommend this game to anyone. Just know you're going to be frustrated, and this isn't no easy platformer as you think it's going to be.
No, it's a great game. I had a lot of fun playing. I'm kind of labeled as a Celestator for some reason. I don't know why, but like I do really love that game as a platformer. It's a ton of fun. I think your viewpoint on the story. I think my problem with it was that I almost think I went in with like bad expectations to have because everyone was talking about like, man, it really tackles mental health in a different and unique way. And then my problem was that it was felt so surface level in that regard. I wanted it to go deeper into like kind of the inner workings of Madeline. I think
Yeah.
that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madeline's mind and like why she struggles, with anxiety. And it felt very much like a lot of just surface level storytelling and telling you why she has anxiety. It's like, okay, but why? What is this deep rooted anxiety caused in? Like how relate to her past? I wanted more of that. Now, granted, it's been a few years since I played it. Maybe it does do that, and I just maybe if I go in with a fresh new perspective, like I'll actually truly get it. But I don't know. Like it is still a really solid game. But I'm always surprised by the amount of people who say they cried at it. I'm like, I don't. Was there any part to cry?
I could see. It's very. I don't think it's surface level as you're saying, but I think they do in a way where they genuinely don't try to throw it in your face, where they're wanting you to pick up on clues with like certain things. Like there's a part where you have a bag in this game, like your character's wearing a little bag, and like as the game's going on, you're starting to like lose that bag, kind of like you're losing your baggage. Like that bag is getting smaller as you're going through the game.
Yeah,
And it's like
that's a good point.
you're looking at that from an environmental. It's kind of like how From Software does environmental storytelling. Celeste has a lot of those moments where it's not just thrown at you, but if you're paying attention to certain characters and certain environments that are changing around you, you can see, okay, this is like all coming. But if you're not paying attention to that, I could 100% see where you're just like, I understand the story they're trying to tell, but it didn't hit for me as hard. But if you're paying close attention to that stuff, which is hard to always pay close attention to that stuff, especially in a game
especially in a
where,
platformer like
yeah,
that.
especially in a game where it's genuinely very hard. Like this is near the top of hardest platformers I've ever played. Like straight up, like it is a
We gotta
hard
get you on.
platformer.
I want to be the guy. Now that one's gonna fucking make you depressed.
It's not Hollow Knight Palace of Pain level for me, but
No, yeah, even I couldn't do that.
yeah,
I respect
but
your
it
grit.
is it's up there. It's hard. It's not that hard, but it's hard. And the checkpointing system really does help bring that. It levels down that difficulty for you though. Where like you're going to fail a lot and you're dying over and over again, but at least you're spawning right there. Compared to a lot of other platformers, you might die a million miles away, and they're just like, "Do it all again," and you're like, "No, I just can't."
And they got like the live system, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you run out of lives, you idiot. Go back to the beginning of the stage.
But yeah, shout out. I've wanted to been playing Celeste for a while, and I'm now very excited that I finally got to it. And like, they have Earthblade coming later this year, the same devs, and I'm like super into like now I can look forward to that. Other than
Can I get you on
Celeste,
Shovel? Can I get you
okay,
on
no,
Shovel Knight Fusion?
I don't want
Is
to
there
say
a way I
what I
can get
want
you?
to say.
What are you gonna say?
No, I'll look into Shovel Knight.
What were you
I,
gonna
I
say?
have no issue. I can't because I'll get absolutely toasted.
Just say it.
say
I'm
it.
Come on, they've just said worse.
The Shovel Knight art style is very
Oh my
it's
god. Okay, now I wish you did say it.
exactly. I knew I was gonna say. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting places where I can play certain games. Like I'm 100% better than I was back in the day, but there's still certain games. Shovel Knight's one of them where it's just
It's an
so.
homage.
I know, and I'm not like it's cool, but like for me, it's just still right there where I'm like, not yet. like
I
no,
will get you
not
into
yet.
Shovel Knight one of these days. You're gonna go, damn, this is one of the best indie games. That's
But
I fucking. Or
I
Hotline
know
Miami.
people
Can you at
love
least do
Shovel
that?
Knight.
Can you
I
do a
could probably.
Hotline Miami
I know
art style?
nothing about that game, but I know people love it,
There's
and
so
I've
many
seen it, and it
indies
looks
that I
fine.
want. There's so many indies that I love that you haven't touched. And I'm not joking when you said I'm playing Celeste next. There was that little bit of like, still no Shovel Knight or Hotline Miami. Okay.
Because you haven't played Citizen Sleeper yet, so I'm just playing everything else
You
that you
know
want.
I'm not gonna play that. Do you want me to play it and like give you a review? That's not my thing. You know that.
But
Okay, you just said Shovel Knight's not your thing. Anyways, what have you been
yeah,
playing now? I'm sorry.
but so yeah, I beat Celeste. I don't know, like Tuesday night, I think, and then Wednesday night wasn't Doom. It should have been not should have been, but like
It's
some
fine.
people
It's
here
fine.
wanted me to really play Doom,
You
and I
can
was like,
play what you want.
I'm gonna play this game called The Wolf Among Us. That genuinely was never on my radar for the longest time until last December during the Steam sale when Moon and Jack were like, "Have you played The Wolf Among Us?" And I was like, "No, actually." And like I like Telltale games, and they were like, "You got to play it." And then like I bought it, and now I'm playing it. And like I haven't played it since Wednesday night, but I went through that entire first chapter, and this game rules. Like I'm totally into what this game's given me already, and the storytelling and the world they're laying out. I can't say much because I said I'm only on the first chapter. I think there's 5 chapters. My plan was like try to get through a chapter a night because I think a chapter is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So like if I can get through a chapter once a night, then that'll be a fun way to get through the game. But
How's that
there's
going,
like
buddy?
I didn't play yesterday because there was somehow a Dice Awards. That's my excuse. And,
Oh my god, the Untitled Goose Game Awards.
and then
Spider-Man won too much.
today I had the once I got off work, I played Rainbow Six Siege and after playing with friends, and then the podcast. So I got valid excuses, man. Like the last day that I wasn't on C or the Dice Award, I was playing the game.
It's pretty funny that you think Rainbow Six Siege is a valid excuse.
I think you're
It
lucky I
playing
don't
with
say what I
friends
want
is a
to
valid
say.
excuse.
But Yeah, so this game's awesome. I'm very happy that I'm playing it, and like I'm excited to jump in more and just like play, like I said, play chapter by chapter and get to more of the story. Like just the story unfolding in front of me is really interesting already, and I'm like already into like the twists and the narratives and everything they're doing.
I'll tell you, I used to watch Telltale games on YouTube, and Wolf Among Us was definitely one of the fucking sickest ones. I was so into it.
It's so
So
cool.
I'm
It
very
really,
excited.
it really is a cool,
It's
like
just a good setting. Like
yeah,
that setting is
it's
perfect.
1980s like fabled New York. Like it's great.
I mean, man, you're a big fanboy of Wolf Among Us. Like, I
Oh
guess,
yeah,
are you
it's
happy Fusion's doing it?
yeah, it's a great game. It's my favorite Telltale game, and I hope 2 delivers.
Yeah,
One
I'm
day.
also excited that I'm gonna. This is one of the things where I'm starting to get in a rhythm of what are games I can beat right now on my backlog that I don't have to pay money for that are new games are coming out from these studios. So like Celeste, Earthblade was coming. The Wolf Among Us, we know sometime The Wolf Among Us 2 is supposed to come. Apparently this year. Like I'm trying to get in the habit where like I'm knocking out first games in either franchises or either just from the studio, so like I can look forward to their future stuff.
Yeah, like Machine Games got that new Wolfenstein, or not Wolfenstein, that new Indiana Jones game. You know, maybe you should check out
I'll
their
play it, dude. I'll play. Trust me. I'm getting through. We're
Stream
going.
Zero. Take your time. It's fine. Play what you want. I don't like telling people what to play. But yep, I think that's everything that we've been playing, unless I accidentally skipped someone. I think I did everyone.
Nope. That's
Um, that's perfect. All right. Moon, handle us and outros.
You know, this was supposed to be a shorter episode so I
Never
can go
is.
play Persona. But anyway, so that's what's all been going on. A lot of news. Hopefully things start to calm down now that we've got all of that past us. Until the next thing. There's always the next thing. So hope you all guys enjoyed this. Be sure to like and subscribe on all of our platforms that we are on. And hope to see you in the next episode. So have a good night, everyone.
Xbox is doomed.
Good night.
PlayStation dead. Nintendo dead. Gaming dead.
Nintendo has no games.
Shut
up.
up!